It is 10:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The second round of the Masters continued today at Augusta National, and Justin Rose remains atop the leaderboard with a two-stroke lead. He is 7 under through 7, but even on the day. In NFL news this morning, the Cleveland Browns have signed quarterback Joe Flacco on a one-year, $4 million deal that could be worth up to $13 million with incentives. The 40-year-old was with the Colts last season. He returns to Cleveland, where he helped lead the Browns to the playoffs in 2023. And the Houston Texans are signing safety Jalen Petrie to a 3-year, $39 million contract extension with $30 million in guaranteed money. The NFL draft starts in 13 days in Green Bay. Wide receiver prospect Isaiah Bond turned himself in on an outstanding sexual assault warrant in Frisco, Texas on Thursday. The former Alabama and Texas wideout said in a statement that the accusation against him is, quote, patently false. The Nashville Predators won in a penalty shootout Thursday, 4-3 at Utah. Only 3 games remain in the regular season. The Preds are at the Golden Knights tomorrow night. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It seems that the NFL draft officially starts at pick number 3. Good morning. Happy Friday. Congratulations. You made it. We're happy to have you, Bert, Lucas, me. I didn't see Ross this morning. Did he show up for work or not? Is he where did we leave him in a ditch somewhere? Where is he?
He is not on the schedule today.
Oh, okay. Convenient. Doesn't want it enough, it seems. 615-737-1045, the number. F&M Bank chat open for business. If you would like to live stream the show this morning, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, if you would like to get involved. That's right, Joe Flacco, back with the Browns. They fill out their quarterback room a little more, which would not necessarily completely prevent them from drafting a quarterback with the second overall pick, but the signing of Flacco to go with Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson is still there, releasing hype videos about how nobody believes that he can come back, this, that, and the other. I don't know if you saw that on the internet recently. But it seems that they're probably going to draft Travis Hunter, which means the Giants are kind of where we start with the intrigue around this thing.
It's interesting because Flacco is signing on backup quarterback money, 1 year, $4 million. But the incentives mean he can make up to backup quarterback that starts many, many games for you money.
13
million.
Yes.
So the Browns are just leaving the door open for every possibility here with Joe Flacco.
So, like I said, it doesn't mean that they can't take Shedeur Sanders. It just makes the percentage chance that they take Shedeur Sanders with the second overall pick that much less likely. And Travis Hunter, if you get the best player in the draft with the second overall pick, or a player who is thought to be by many the best player in the NFL draft with the second overall pick, you're probably good with it. And then you put him at wide receiver, he immediately becomes your number 2. Jerry Jeudy, the number 1 wide receiver in Cleveland right now, I guess, at this point in time. When am I getting the Cedric Tillman breaking year? Is that happening? Are we on track for that? I'm waiting for one of them. Hyatt.
Yeah, one of them.
Tillman.
Would definitely benefit Tennessee, who is dealing with its own situation right now around Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're going to spend some time on this today, but what's the deal with your quarterback?
I mean, there are 6 words that every Tennessee fan is asking that make up a question this week and today, and it's what the bleep is going on. There's different reports from every side. His dad's getting involved.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
This is what happens when there's money involved.
We'll break it down as best we can. No, this is what happens when there's money involved and absolutely no structure or guardrails around it.
Damn sure that this becomes one of the more higher profile cases if it advances the way that it could potentially advance and Nico Iamaleava ends up in the transfer portal. I would imagine that you would start to soon see some level of legislation that would even make these kids year to year, because this isn't even year to year. This is like every 6 months.
Every 6 months. No, that's what this is. I mean, I
laugh because it's so ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
But like, if I was a fan of Tennessee, I mean, I can't imagine how you feel today. Like, I would be sick to my stomach, the idea, what do you mean he's going to enter the transfer portal? Because he wants more money? Allegedly.
Allegedly. That's the thing. Like, you have the report that is the case. You have other reports that say that's not the case, that is completely false.
From his dad.
Yes, and other people that are reportedly close to the family. I mean, I sent it into our group chat just before the show. Chris Hummer of 247 Sports and CBS Sports is reporting that there are no negotiations. They're plenty happy with the contract that they have. But Austin Price of VolQuest just posted on the VolQuest boards that he's told Nico was not present at practice today. So what does that mean for the orange and white game tomorrow? I was made to believe Nico will be playing and going through spring game stuff tomorrow as normal, like he has throughout the course of spring practice. So what the bleep is going on? That is that's kind of the messaging right now around the Tennessee fan base.
I have decided to adopt the Nico strategy, and just about every 6 months, I think I'm also going to ask for more money due to my performance on the field.
Your performance has been about as awe-inspiring as Nico Iamaleava was in 2024.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if he can ask for more money, then I can too, damn it.
10-2 in a college football playoff appearance. What's Robert's equivalent to that?
I feel like the offense is propping me up.
The defense certainly, too.
Just wait till you see what he got cooked up today.
Uh-oh. I don't like that.
You shouldn't.
This is... I haven't said anything loud wrong recently. I'm like battered now with these damn imaging tricks that you like to play now, where one of us says something stupid, usually me in front of the microphone, and then like less than 24 hours later, it's turned around into a radio-produced item.
I haven't made any into promos yet.
Okay, looking forward to it. Coach Mack is on the show. Mike Keith is on the show. Normally, you would say both of Titans Radio, but one now works for the Vol Network, and we will be previewing the spring game with Mike Keith. I suppose we'll ask him about the Nico situation, because that does impact the spring game, and we can, see what Mike may or may not know, and perhaps it's just we're not really sure, so we'll keep it moving as best we can, and I guess he'd just be like every other Vols fan. You throw your hands up in the air and say, all right, what the bleep is going on? 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. So, quarterback draft, ideally, pushes a lot of, like, for the Titans, let's say. Let's just run it through the prism of the Titans instead of the NFL draft and potentially the Browns out of the quarterback market in the first round, but not the second round, right? We've seen a lot of places mocking, for example, Tyler Shuck to Cleveland in the second round, which would make sense if they choose to go best player available and address a need. And, if he can play a little corner too, if they have an injury in the back end of their defense, maybe they plug him in at corner at some point in the season. I have no idea what Cleveland is going to do with, theoretically, Travis Hunter, but it would be curious to find out. For the purposes of the Titans, though, the more quarterbacks that go later, the better positioned you are at 35. Now, I know it's only so many options because you're probably still talking about 3 of them. But, the further that Shedeur falls probably benefits the Titans unless the wide receiver run starts earlier than we anticipate it starting. I don't know. Where's the first wide receiver expected to go off the board?
I mean,
right now, because there's a couple of different places,
not including Travis Hunter.
Sure. I don't think of him as a wide receiver. I know that he can't. He's probably going to be able to do it. I think he's a corner.
I know, but I think he's going to end up with the team that does think of him as a wide receiver at number 2
because he
overall.
wants to be paid. I know it's a fault of me. I just got to get myself out of the headspace of how I view him versus how he wants to be paid.
It's a weird thing because he is the best wide receiver in this draft class. Right? Like, there was no better wide receiver in college football last year than Travis Hunter.
He's got the catch radius, man, of a 2-car garage. Like, he's just insane.
The Blitnikoff winner, the Heisman winner. Like, you can't make an argument that there was a better receiver in college football last year than Travis Hunter.
Not any of these that are coming out.
Yeah. If you want to make the argument that there was a better corner, is Will Johnson a better pure corner than Travis Hunter? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think the NFL thinks so either.
Yeah, but it's such a unique situation that it's almost like the wide receiver class starts after Travis Hunter. He's kind of his own thing.
I know.
And then we go down to, okay, Hunter is Hunter. He's up here. Now who's wide receiver 1? Which is weird because he's wide receiver 1, especially if he goes to the Cleveland Browns where they say they want him to play wide receiver.
Well, and I don't know if either of you noticed this after the Colorado showcase where the only thing that he did that day is run routes. But he's running a route that doesn't necessarily look like a route, and the internet's saying, "Oh, well, he's running that Big X the plug route or something like that." You know what I'm saying? Like he's running that rec league flag football route, and it's so stupid because it completely ignores the fact that he's just trying to show them how quickly he can change direction. It's not like it's a route. He's just trying to show off his athleticism and how it can lead him to creating his own separation as a wide receiver, or at least that's the way that I took it. I don't think NFL scouts and general managers and executives that were in attendance at the Colorado Showcase had the same reaction that the internet does, because turns out the internet's pretty dumb. But for the rest of this, the first wide receiver after Travis Hunter, where would we expect them to go? Jacksonville needs skill players that are not named Brian Thomas Jr. And I know that Jags and Mason Graham feels like Titans and Joe Alt last year, where a lot of people are just like, oh, yeah, makes sense. And then the Titans don't end up with Joe Alt because the Chargers needed one too.
Same with Patriots and Will Campbell.
Yeah.
Like that feels like it's Cam Ward to the Titans. Question marks at 2 and 3. What variation of Hunter and Carter do we get? Maybe a quarterback. At this point, it seems like probably not. And then it's Campbell at 4, Mason Graham at 5. It feels like that's being talked about as though it's locked in.
I mean, could we get to Carolina at 8 before we see a wide receiver not named Travis Hunter picked?
I think you could potentially get out of the top 10 before you see another wide receiver pick.
New Orleans, Chicago, San Francisco, 11.
I think the doors really open up at 12 with Dallas. Dallas has been very vocal about wanting to add a number 2 receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb. I think that's when the gate really opens up for seeing wide receivers potentially come off the board. The defensive talent and the offensive line talent is too great, higher than that, in my opinion, to see a wide receiver come off the board.
We just saw San Francisco address wide receiver in the first round last year with Ricky Pearsall. They obviously paid Brandon Ayuk. Jawan Jennings has really come on.
Debo's out.
Yes, but it is jarring, isn't it, to see San Francisco picking at 11?
It's just one of those things you have to do a double take real quick. Like, they were that bad this season? And, that's their version of bottoming out, which is what I think a lot of teams aspire to, it's not the worst team in football, right? It's not 3-14 like a couple of these teams at the top of the draft.
I mean, 6-11 got the Titans the number 7 pick last year.
Yes.
That's just how many bad teams there were this year in the NFL.
So much bad football.
That 6-11 puts you outside of the top 10 for San Francisco.
So let's dive into the story of the day, because we're trying to figure out what's what about Nico Iamaleava. So there's some newly reported details from Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel, who is as trustworthy a source on this as you could possibly have. So we will dive into his reporting coming up next. What's going on with the Tennessee Vols quarterback? You needed a little drama in your life, didn't you? You think you got your quarterback situation figured out for the Titans. Then the Vols quarterback allegedly has a situation around him now. Well, he has a situation around him now. What is being alleged is that he is seeking more money than his current NIL valuation pays him out on a regular basis for Tennessee. Now that, it's worth noting, has since been refuted by his father and several other people. And the situation around it becomes toxic because Vol Twitter plus controversy plus quarterback equals the equivalent of a digital nuclear bomb. It was a freak out yesterday. Rightfully so. Like I said to open the show, if this situation happened to anybody's favorite team, favorite program, and you were getting ready, you're just excited for spring ball. Hell, we got Mike Keith on the show today to preview the Vols spring game. People are excited about it. Tennessee coming off a college football playoff appearance for the first time, looking to build, quarterback year 2. He wants to go in the transfer portal. Wait, what? And it just brings everything to a screeching halt. So what is the reporting from Pete Nakos of On3 Sports, who we've had on the radio show before, and perhaps it's a good time to have Pete Nakos of On3 Sports back on the radio show.
So this dropped Thursday afternoon and lit Vol Twitter aflame. Pete Nakos putting out on on3sports.com. This is the lead of the story. In a move that many around the program expected, On3 has learned that Nico Iamaleava and Tennessee are in active negotiations and are on a new NIL deal ahead of the 2025 season. It remains unclear if those negotiations will impact Iamaleava's decision regarding the spring transfer portal, which opens next week. I add parenthetically, April 16th. We are 5 days away from the spring portal opening up. He says sources have indicated that Nico Iamaleava is happy at Tennessee and has a strong relationship with head coach Josh Heupel. The Vols are trying to finalize a new contract before Saturday's orange and white spring game. The issue at hand is that Iamaleava's multi-million-dollar deal was one of the first large NIL contracts. The market has since adjusted significantly, especially at the quarterback position. He says multiple sources close to the situation indicate that Iamaleava's current contract is somewhere between $2.2 to $2.5 million, a jump from the initial 3-year deal that was reported in 2022. At one point, he was the highest paid quarterback in the nation, and he points out that Carson Beck and Darian Mensah, the Tulane transfer quarterback that went to Duke, both signed contracts this offseason that are worth over $3 million annually, and that Michigan gave 5-star freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood over $3 million per year as well. So, ultimately, this is Pete Nakos saying Nico's side is telling Tennessee market has changed, price has gone up. And then you have Nico's father.
Yeah. So, Nick Iamaleava, father of Nico, at Nick _Iamaleava is where you can find the tweet. More games being played off the field than on the field. He calls Pete Nakos a name here. Says bleep Nakos from On3 Sports. You can go look at the tweet for yourself to determine which bleep it is. Called and asked me directly. I told him I had no idea on what he's talking about. He said his, quote, close source that he trusts with his life from the University of Tennessee staff gave him this. So he goes on to say that, so y'all can ask them what's going on because it ain't from us. He did not respond to Adam Sparks' request for comment. Sparks also reached out to Spire Sports, which is the NIL collective that currently pays or is responsible for paying Nico Iamaleava. So Brent Hubbs of VolQuest and the Vol Network is on the morning show.
Well, quickly, before we get to Hubbs, because he references this report, and it's from CBS Sports. It's from Chris Hummer, who got in on this and spoke with Cordell Landers, who was a close friend of the Iamaleava family. And the quote Landers gave to Chris Hummer of CBS was, quote, the family are happy with Tennessee. There are no contract negotiations. They are happy with the contract they have. So Hummer is saying basically what Nico's dad is saying, that this is a nothing burger, and Pete Nakos has gotten it wrong here.
What would the program benefit from having, again, you always think about when you see stuff come out, who benefits most from the story being out there? how does the University of Tennessee benefit at all from this story being out there? If it is, as the family is alleging, if it's coming from them, ask them, because it's not coming from us. Because it doesn't seem to me that it would benefit Nico. I mean, you could leverage, you could start a fire. It certainly started a fire, I guess. But I don't understand why there would be somebody leaking this from the University of Tennessee's side, because that doesn't benefit them. They're trying to get ready for a spring
unless
game.
it were true, right?
Unless it were true.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's not like I saw this report and I wasn't shocked or blindsided by it. Like, this is what happens. 99% of these deals get renegotiated along the way.
We got an update.
What happened?
Tennessee's quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, was not at practice this morning, per VolQuest's Austin Price. Ian Rappaport has picked this up.
Oh, really?
And said, a college hold-in. Wild.
Yes, I said that in the show's first segment.
I apologize.
That Austin posted that on the boards. Austin also was asked on the VolQuest boards yesterday. VolQuest, by the way, very much worth your subscription for all the inside information on Tennessee football. Somebody asked him if he expects the deal to get done, and he said, I certainly think it will get worked out, as both sides have been talking about a new deal since December. So Austin Price has kind of acknowledged, they've been talking about it, which, again, is not a shock. Like, the market has changed, and you may be thinking Nico wasn't good enough last year to demand whatever he's demanding, allegedly. Was Carson Beck? Who was better, Nico or Carson Beck last year?
Oh.
Because Beck was dreadful.
Yeah, but so were the Georgia wide receivers.
He was on a better football team.
Georgia wide receivers real bad.
Yep. But you can make that argument. Carson Beck's making damn near $4 million with the Miami Hurricanes this year.
No, listen, I'm Vols fans are going to hate this. I'm on Nico's side. If this is true, what I'm trying to figure out is it true?
Yeah.
If it is true, hell yes. This is exactly what he should be doing. And I know it'll make you sick to your stomach and pull your hair out and, he's not a VFL for life. They don't care about that stuff as much anymore now. Like we've talked about this before. Like, I went to that Indiana basketball game during the combine, and I looked at the basketball team that's out on the floor that's being very highly compensated. I think they spent about $6 million on the basketball team this year. And they're not really my guys, but I don't care as long as they win. Like, they're not, bleeding crimson and cream or whatever. They're not bleeding orange and white. They bleed money. They want more money. The answer to all of your questions about this is money. And the best possible way to put together the best possible football program, basketball program, baseball or otherwise, in the name, image, and likeness era is to have the most competitive offer. If this is true, again, if this is true about Nico's situation, and we will have Brent Hubbs lay this situation out in a 3-minute, I don't want to call it a diatribe, that feels rude, but a 3-minute explanation here in just a second from his appearance this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. This is exactly what he should do. Leverage. Let's hear from Brent Hubbs.
Well, what we know is that Nico's going to go through the spring game tomorrow. Obviously, there is a report by Pete Nakos from On3 saying they were negotiating and renegotiating on his contract. Pete wrote that story for whatever for his reasons. He had multiple sources that he felt comfortable with saying that this was going on. Last night, Nico's father went to Twitter and said sternly that the story was inaccurate and was wrong. And Cordell Landers, who is a close friend, confidant of the family, came out and said not only was the story wrong, but that Nico was very happy with the current deal he's on. Everything's good. Everything's great at Tennessee. So what's the truth? And this is the hard part, and I'm not going to try to ramble all morning in this segment because nobody wants me to do that. But this is the challenge in covering NIL, because there is no FOIing an NIL contract. You can't find out what somebody's deal is because it's through a third party. So there is no state law that says a public institution has to give you all the information about that. We know that fans want to know, or they think they want to know, the transparency of all of this, and then maybe they don't really want to know how the sausage is made ultimately. We also know student athletes don't want that information out there. That's why Olivia Dunn testified in front of the House settlement saying it's none of your business how much money I make. I shouldn't have to report it to anybody. We have multiple states from Oregon to Tennessee and everywhere else that are introducing laws to limit that information. Oregon doesn't want to report it at all to the enforcement arm. The Tennessee proposed law says we'll report it to the enforcement arm, but the media can't, and it's not public information. Why? Those places, schools don't want other schools to know how they're managing their roster, so that nobody can look at a list of numbers at another school and go, hey, let's go after this player. Or, hey, let's act like we're going after this player and drive the price up there so that we can go after somebody else. So everybody wants to know or thinks they want to know, but there is no absolute in this because there's no clear transparency in it. Let's go back to the Nick Saban story. Nick Saban was going to Alabama. It was reported widely that he was going to Alabama. Nick Saban comes out and says, I'm not going to Alabama. That's not true. Well, at some point, rubber was going to meet the road. He either became the coach at Alabama or he didn't. So you had closure and you had knowledge. In this case, Nico could be the quarterback this fall, and there'll be a section of people that say, well, he must have got a new deal. But we'll never know if he got a new deal unless his people put out that he got a new deal, because what you end up having in these situations with the lack of transparency is he said, she said.
What a mess. What an ungodly mess. That's Brent Hubbs from VolQuest and the Vol Network on with Ramon, Kayla, and Will earlier this morning. You can check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. I'm sure they will have posted it as an individual YouTube video as well.
Speaking of podcasts, be sure to download the 104.5 The Zone app to be able to listen at all times of the day, and subscribe to 104.5 The Zone wherever you get your podcasts for every single show. And while you're at it, subscribe to the YouTube page where we are live on 104.5 The Zone TV, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., where you can jump in on the F&M Bank chat. Pete Thamel has added to this, ESPN's Pete Thamel, who also reports that Nico did not attend practice today. Now, Thamel adds this. He's been in conversations with Tennessee about a new contract. The no-show of practice came as a surprise. So Nico's been on the practice field throughout spring. He's been talking to media. He's been talking about how he's challenging himself to become a more front-facing member of this team, a bigger leader, more present in the building. That's probably the biggest talking point around Nico, or was until today, is how does Nico grab the reins of this offense and elevate this offense as all these parts and pieces change around him? Now, he's got to be the guy, whereas last year, he obviously was their starting quarterback and was a leader in that sense, but was really following along with the likes of Cooper Mays and Dylan Sampson and Brew McCoy as the most vocal leaders on that side of the ball. That's been the discussion around Nico until now. Now it's about, will Nico be on this team in 2025?
How you feeling?
Again, just frustrated, not with Nico. Again, to your point, the system is set up to where players can take advantage of this at every turn.
Yes.
Right? Players can, when the season ends, demand more money, or I'm hitting the post-regular season transfer portal, the winter transfer portal, and then they get that money. Great. They go through spring practice. Spring practice ends. 6 months later, that same player can go to Tennessee saying, oh, that contract that I demanded that you gave me, I want more now, or I'm hitting the portal. It is their prerogative to do that right now. It is just an untenable situation across college sports at the moment. The other part of this, because I get it, the market is the market. Nico saying, oh, Duke is paying their quarterback almost $4 million, and I'm over here making 2.2, 2.5. Again, when I saw this news, that's what flashed through my mind. Said, oh, well, that makes sense. The other thing is, we're about to have revenue sharing. The moment this House settlement gets approved, we have revenue sharing in college sports, and NIL can be policed in a way that it wasn't before, where it has to line up with, quote unquote, fair market value. Now, all of the logistics of what determines fair market value and who exactly is policing it, there are a lot of questions there still to be answered. But if you're a Nico situation, it does make sense to say, we got to strike while the iron is hot here. We got to pursue a bigger deal while we're still in this wild, wild west and have every opportunity and don't have to worry about any barriers being put up because a judge told the NCAA, okay, you can start to regulate this stuff more now because schools will be giving their athletes over $20 million of revenue sharing.
So what's fair criticism of the circumstance? Because I see some comments, and you can call the show if you'd like, 615-737-1045. What is your reaction to the alleged renegotiation of Nico Iamaleava's NIL deal at Tennessee at this point in time? And the idea that he's currently not practicing or is missing practice today. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network has now picked it up and called it a college football hold-in, which is something I don't think any of us thought that we'd see or could have imagined 5 years ago when you were talking college sports or doing sports talk radio in the ways that you talk about college sports and things like that. It's really overtaken a lot of the dialogue, understandably so. But what's fair criticism here? Because we understood when all this passed at the onset that there was going to be what they called an exploratory period. And my biggest criticism of governing bodies like the NCAA or the NFL in certain circumstances, just generally, people who are tasked with the job of oversight, are you going to be proactive in the way that you manage things, or are you going to be reactive? There is a world where I'm sure smarter people than I could have envisioned at some point in time this will lead to college football players or college basketball players holding in. The way that we've set up the transfer portal windows, combined with the NIL presence just generally, and the fact that they are now able to monetize, we have created a perfect storm to wherein, 4 years removed from the initial Supreme Court ruling?
Yeah.
4 years down the road or 3 years down the road, whatever your forecasting would have been around this, somebody smart, I have to imagine, sitting in a courtroom somewhere or sitting in a boardroom somewhere talking about the pros and cons of this situation. Did nobody envision a world where this could have happened? When they said, all right, exploratory period, go get them, boys. What? That's it? Okay. I'll go make as much money as you'll let me make. And I'll go renegotiate as many times as you'll let me renegotiate. And I'll transfer as many times as I can to find the best possible circumstance because you've set up the rules that way. And now we're seeing all kind of cases of varying degrees of severity, this being one of the more severe, I would argue, if it ends up being true. But to Brent Hums's point there, we're not going to have full transparency on this. They've set it up so that we don't.
Yeah. And if you're Pete Nakos today, I mean, are you taking a bit of a victory lap, right? You put out this report. Nico's dad came out, said this is BS. Vols fans are attacking you on social media. And then the next day, Nico's not at practice as negotiations continue. Like, if you're Pete, you're sitting back saying, okay, yep, that lines up.
Well, because you're not, you're going to get outrage all over the place. Because even just sharing Sparks's confirmation of the story yesterday, there's a bunch of people that ended up in my mentions for reasons that I couldn't understand. Some mouth breather that looks like Shrek on Twitter tweeted me and says, this appears to be, in response to Adam Sparks reporting, said that appears to be false. So F yourself, Buck. I'm like, look around. He's not in practice today. Where you're not sharing, your aunt's conspiracy theories on Facebook. This is stuff that's real. And I know it's kind of hard for people at the college level. You may be a pro sports fan and understand that this happens to some extent in pro sports, but not nearly with the regularity that it's happening now in college athletics. And that may be a difficult thing to grasp. And so you see the first person to refute Nakos's reporting, and you say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And then you create factions where people are warring on either side of this situation. It creates more tension, more pressure on the university, more pressure on the people responsible for getting Nico on the field, more pressure on Spire Sports, more pressure on Nico himself. It's a mess.
Here's what I'm wondering, and this is just kind of trying to read between the lines, looking through the smoke. Like, this is what this smells like to me. That there were contract negotiations happening after the season. Again, Austin Price has said that on VolQuest.com, that they've been talking to Tennessee since December. And that those negotiations were just kind of moving along, and Nico was at practice. He was front-facing, talking to the media, installing the offense, getting to know his teammates, his new wide receiver core, business as usual, while you work through the contract on the side, which is happening all over the place with college football players. But I wonder if it getting out the way that it did has been kind of this breaking point that has rubbed Nico and his family the wrong way. And now he's not at practice. I wonder if they don't like that the negotiation got leaked out, because it doesn't.
Sure.
Because you're right. Nobody looks good in this situation. It doesn't benefit Tennessee to have it out there. It also doesn't benefit Nico. It doesn't put Nico and his family and his side in a good light, right? After the season that he had, to say, no, I want more than what I was making before. And I think about a year from now, let's say Nico, when he's eligible, does end up going to the NFL draft. This is something that's going to be brought up. This is something teams are going to press him about.
Oh, teams are already super uncomfortable with the Shador thing.
Exactly.
They don't know how to. There's people of a certain age working in NFL front offices that don't know how to deal with this, which is why I think you've seen some of the stuff around Shador that you have, because Shador is way more savvy and way more aware of his current situation and not beholden to the NFL in any way, shape, or form as far as making a living for his family. He's got this stuff handled. He's been exposed to way more of this stuff than probably many of those people working in NFL front offices have been. So it's like this unknown commodity. You're going to see this have ripple effects at every level. And, I mean, you've already started to see it in this year's draft process. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. John Eccles on YouTube, and we'll get to your phone calls here in just a second, says, not practicing, great leadership qualities. Bert, do you have that Marshawn Lynch clip that I asked you for regarding this? Because I think John Eccles is running leadership through his prism, and I think Nico and maybe approaching this from a different kind of perspective.
We'll see what's happening. But look, I'll say like this, though, right? It's a vulnerable time for a lot of these young dudes, you feel me? They don't be taking care of their chicken right, you feel me? So if it was me, or if I had an opportunity to let these little young Sahabs know something, I say take care of y'all money, African, because that shit don't last forever.
Okay.
I was going to say.
We got through a whole Marshawn thing. But
it was bleeped later. I missed one.
It's okay, buddy.
Whatever.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
But Marshawn telling kids, take care of your money. Take care of your money first and foremost.
Take care of your money. That, to me, is a leadership quality. If Nico Iamaleava, and I know he's not like an old head or anything like that, he's a second-year starter, but that can be a different kind of leadership. Hey, guys, this is a business now. It's always been a business, but now it's real business. And you guys got to understand that it's not personal. Take care of your mental, take care of your finances, and then work things out as a team. It's professional sports now, kids. That's what is in the college game. If you don't like it, tough. Hope, I guess, that the House settlement passes, that the House ruling comes down in the way that people expect it to, that guardrails start to be put up around this stuff in the meantime. But this is a monster of the NCAA's creation unto themselves. They were asking for it, and now they've got it. SEC Stat of the Day coming up next. Lake lovers, listen up. Tennessee National, a highly anticipated lakefront resort, golf, and marina community, is having a spring sales event, releasing a limited number of lake lots to the public with upgrades and savings. One day only, Saturday, April 26th. You can get a subdividable wooded lot from $79,900. For the first time ever, you can get fully furnished lakefront townhomes. There's a private golf cart access to a new marina and resort, 10 miles of walking trails, 3.5 miles of shoreline, a brand new 26,000 square foot clubhouse, waterfront concerts overlooking a beautiful lake, pickleball, pools, on-site coffee shop, and much more. Play on the lake or simply relax at the waterfront restaurant. Just over 20 minutes from Knoxville, Tennessee, financing is available. So enjoy life on the water, fresh air, boat rides, and sunshine. Celebrate the lake life and make memories. This limited property release, Saturday, April 26th. Visit TennesseeNational.com, or better yet, give us a call, 865-408-9992 to secure your private tour. Memories begin here.
So, Nico Iamaleava is in the news. Chris Lowe is getting in on the reporting as well. ESPN's Chris Lowe saying Nico Iamaleava, amid reports that he wanted to renegotiate his NIL deal, did not show up at Friday morning's practice. And he says, like Pete Thamel did, that it was a surprise to all Tennessee staff members and players. He adds Iamaleava's reps denied Thursday that there was any renegotiation talk. We're going to get to your phone calls on this, but quickly, the SEC stat of the day, since it is topical. Of the returning quarterbacks, returning starters in the SEC, where do you think Nico ranks in passing yards and passing touchdowns and we'll say interceptions? Interceptions in terms of the fewest being number one.
Returning.
Say it again.
Returning. Okay, just checking.
Returning starters.
I would bet he's fourth.
Third.
He
is third behind Garrett Nussmeier, who is the SEC's lead returning starter at quarterback, threw for over 4,000 yards last year at LSU, and Taylon Green, the Boise State transfer who was the starter for Arkansas last year, threw for over 3,000 yards. Nico is third, coming back in 2025 in passing touchdowns behind Nussmeier, who had 29, Diego Pavia, who had 20. Nico had 19. Now, the feather in Nico's cap is that he only threw 5 picks last year. It's probably the best thing you can say about Nico Iamaleava is that he avoided turning the ball over.
Yeah, he doesn't really put the ball in harm's way.
Right. So, those are the numbers on where Nico kind of stacks up just from the box score in returning starting quarterbacks in the SEC. So now the prevailing conversation around it will be, are you worth what you're asking for? But it's not about the previous year's performance, right? As frustrating as that is for fans, and I get why it is, it's about what would he get? Because I'm going to tell you right now, Nico Iamaleava would get more than $2.5 million in the transfer portal. Nico
What do we think
Iamaleava
he would get? 5? 5.5?
I could see Nico resetting the market there. Yes, I could. Like, if you think about it, Carson Beck kind of did that with Miami.
Sure.
At what, 3.8? Again, these are just reported numbers where we go like approximately $3.8 million.
Just a quick sidebar on that. Have you paid attention to what's happening with Carson Beck?
No.
Down in Miami? He apparently had a extracurricular situation with a woman that was not one of the Cavender twins whichever Cavender twin that he was dating, one of the girls on the Miami basketball team, which I think is a big reason why he went to Miami in the first place. So I don't know if that's...
Yeah, okay.
It's just something.
I don't care about Carson Beck cheating on his TikTok star girlfriend.
Well, I think it might have been the reason that Miami, pushed him over the top as recruiting him.
No,
so
sure. I mean,
I just something to keep in mind there. All things can be impacted.
Nico, again, for as underwhelming as he was at times, also starred at times last year, right? The way he played in the second half against Alabama was the starting quarterback for a Tennessee team that went 10-2 and went to the college football playoff. Nico Iamaleava was a 5-star recruit, has all the talent in the world that you could want in a quarterback. Nico Iamaleava absolutely could reset the market if he were to enter the transfer
Just
portal.
think about that as a phrase in college sports, resetting the market. How far we've come from Todd Gurley getting in trouble for signing jerseys and stuff like that. Ohio State players trading, championship memorabilia for tattoos.
Oh, even the basketball stuff.
Oh, my God.
There was a whole HBO documentary. People went to jail.
Oh, no, I know.
for those scandals.
Will Wade, strong ass offer, all of it.
Henry in Smyrna is on the phone line. Hey, Henry.
Hey, how are y'all doing today?
Good.
So my reaction to this is, thank God we get to talk about something else besides Cam Ward being draft number 1 and what receiver we're going to get and who we're going to do with all this Titan stuff. Yes, I'm a Titans fan. I hope they do well in the draft, but we have talked ad nauseum about it.
I agree.
Thanks for the call, Henry.
Yeah, thank you.
Henry just calling in to celebrate us talking about something other than Cam Ward.
I'm so happy to talk about anything but the draft. It's going to be kind of a boring 2 weeks. You know what you're picking. Hell, I'm hoping that I get to go home Thursday night of the NFL draft at like 7:30 because it's done. We do the press conference. We do the Zoom. We get on with our night. Great. But until then, we got some time to kill.
So we agree that Nico could reset the market. Obviously, there's fire here. He's not showing up at practice.
Yeah, it's
and
not just
Tennessee
smoke.
staffers are surprised. Like, this isn't just some BS report that his dad called out when we move along. There's something here, very obviously. Now, Tennessee, for the most part, has managed these situations, right? They've gotten out in front of a lot of these situations. Ricky Gibson said he was going to enter the transfer portal potentially at the end of spring ball. He's practiced throughout spring. The dust has kind of settled on that. Seems like the Tennessee corner is going to play for Tennessee in 2025, right? Boo Carter kind of insinuated some things that, hey, I want to play both sides of the ball. If you're not going to play me on offense, I might be out of here. Tennessee said, we'll take care of you. He has practiced on offense throughout the course of spring practice while maintaining that star role in the defensive backfield. So far, Tennessee has been ahead of these things, and now this is their quarterback. This is the most important player on the team for 2025. You may think he underperformed last year relative to expectations, which were sky high.
Yeah.
Get it? 5-star prospect, over $2 million.
Well.
But it stands to reason that Tennessee is going to try and be ahead of this and work on keeping Nico. I do believe Nico has a good relationship with Josh Heupel, but I will say the spring game tomorrow just got a whole lot more interesting. We're not going to be able to watch it. Most
hear it on the Ball
teams
Network.
are not televising. That's right. We'll have it here. Mike Keith, Ramon Foster. Can't wait to listen. Spring ball has been interesting this year because it feels like every year it drives a lot of discussion. Who's showing out in practice? Who are we excited to watch? But it's kind of gone down a couple notches. Because the SEC was so good in basketball. 14 teams in the tournament. Fan bases that normally wouldn't be as locked in were totally locked in to basketball late in the season. And B, because we know we're not going to get to watch the games. The exposure is less and less. So, interesting times.
You talk about sky-high expectations for Nico last year. Say they gave him the money. We may or may not know. And he comes in this year, and he has a slight uptick. Slight. What is it, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions?
Yeah.
2,200 yards and change?
Yeah, most importantly, 10 wins. But we understand Tennessee's defense, its run game. And
That's a team stat.
yes.
What's the dialogue going to be like between him and a famously toxic fan base?
Dude, you better be a Heisman contender. You better be in New York. You're
Man,
already almost there for his
this
expectations.
Is such
next
a tough
year.
thing. He's 20 years old. He's 19.
He's 20.
20?
Yeah.
That's so tough. But oh, man. God, I do not envy Vols fans on this. It's a really difficult situation to suss through. Because, of course, if he gets paid, you retain him, and all is well and fine on the financial front, and then he just doesn't break through the way that you want him to, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And by
unrealistic expectations or not,
that's the only way Tennessee continues this ascension is if Nico takes up the mantle. Their defense is going to be good next year. There's no James Pierce, right? But they kind of reload at the defensive line spot. I think the defense will at least maintain that standard. There's a ton of questions on offense. 4 out of 5 starters replaced on the O-line, a totally new wide receiver room, very unproven guys there at running back. Dylan Sampson's gone. It's kind of this 3-pronged situation at that spot. You get Star Thomas, the transfer from Duke. Who's going to kind of take the reins? Will they really share the reps? Nico is the one that we know the most about on offense. So if Tennessee is going to just keep climbing in 2025, it has to be because of Nico. So it definitely complicates things, at least with the fan base and how they look at Nico Iamaleava.
Daniel is in Nashville up next. Hey, Daniel.
Yeah, I think you got to look at the other side of the story too. These guys are signing these deals, $2 million, $3 million, whatever, and where's the outcry going to be whenever they don't perform? And is the school going to go in there and start taking money away and dropping them, kind of like free agency and what happens in the NFL?
I mean, it's reasonable to think about it that way. That's why so the name of the tackle prospect, what is it?
David Sanders Jr.
David Sanders Jr. So right now he's in a situation where he's making substantial money. Doug Matthews has talked about his compensation. Mm-hmm. Josh Heupel, I think, has Josh Heupel brought up his compensation?
I don't know.
Anyway. Fair to expect. But in our conversation with Coach Matthews a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, he brought up, you'd probably like to see some return on investment from that player right away. Whereas, I don't know if pre-NIL, you're putting that player in a situation where he needs to play for you in some form or fashion. He needs to get reps for you, live reps for you in some form or fashion right away, just because you're paying him. That totally changes the dynamics of what college programs have done, which is Nick Saban's method when they were at the height of recruiting and were for a period of, 5 to 10 years, just stacking 5-star on top of 5-star. And then when one goes down, you just roll another one off the conveyor belt and you go about your business that way. You're not going to get the opportunity to sit in college now, much less in pro sports. 615-737-1045. Mike Keith, voice of the Vols, will join us. That's a weird thing to say, but it's cool. Will join us at 12:20 today. He's doing the spring game tomorrow, so we'll talk more about all this later. There's an interesting situation going on with an NFL draft prospect, and it's really the first one of them that we've seen this cycle. We'll tell you what it is coming up next.
It is 11:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. There is drama in Knoxville as Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava did not show up to practice today. The final spring practice before the orange and white game tomorrow, according to multiple reports. A report came down Thursday afternoon from On3 Sports that Nico Iamaleava is renegotiating his deal with Tennessee for the upcoming 2025 season. In NFL news, the Cleveland Browns have signed a quarterback, Joe Flacco, on a one-year $4 million deal that could be worth up to $13 million with incentives. The 40-year-old was with the Colts last season. He returns to Cleveland, where he helped lead the Browns to the playoffs in 2023. Also, the Texans are signing safety Jalen Petrie to a 3-year, $39 million extension, $30 million of it in guaranteed money. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Lucas said it best in his update. Drama in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're in Nashville, of course, but Vols fans everywhere kind of clutching their pearls. Nico Iamaleava holding in, not participating in practice today on the heels of the news that he is interested in more money. First reported by Pete Nakos of On3 Sports. We had the development this morning that it was unexpected by the Tennessee staff and players that Nico was not going to be in attendance at practice today. And now you've got another update before we dive into this NFL draft situation. Some news about a prospect that really we haven't seen much of this cycle, but tell you more about that here in just a second. This from Chris Lowe of ESPN, who is a regular on with 3HL. And you're hosting Doug Matthews' show this weekend, right?
I will. We've got a lot to talk about tomorrow on Forklift Systems Football Saturday. Jimmy Hyams will be on, Charles Davis will be on, and Coach Matthews will be on as he checks in from Knoxville. He'll be in attendance at Tennessee's orange and white game.
Okay, so
8 to 10 a.m. tomorrow.
The orange and white game just got a lot more spicy.
Yeah.
And, of course, coverage of the orange and white game will be on 104.5 The Zone, the Vol Network. Ramon Foster will be participating. Mike Keith, who will be on the radio show later, will be participating. And now this update from Chris Lowe. By the way, 615-737-1045 is how you jump in if you want to talk about this Nico situation. F&M Bank Chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Live stream the show. We will get to some of your comments there as well. Chris Lowe at CeeLo ESPN writes, right before the winter portal closed, Nico Iamaleava's reps wanted to see his deal upped to $4 million, to the $4 million range. And again, this time, as the spring portal opens Wednesday, according to sources, Tennessee officials said they weren't going to blink. So, is that, let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. Not going to blink as in this game of financial chicken that they're playing, or not going to blink at $4 million? Because I think that leaves some room for interpretation there.
Well, since he's not at practice today, I would take that to mean that they're not going to blink at this
negotiation
move
tactic
by Nico's side. That we want $4 million. No, you're making what you're making. That's how I read it.
Oh, man.
By the way, Chris tweeted 3 minutes before that report that Iamaleava's reps were adamant Thursday to news outlets that there was no renegotiation going on, which we knew. But sources tell ESPN there has been growing frustration among the administration and players about the situation, especially when Iamaleava did not show up for practice.
What's Ron Slay say from time to time? He has a great many sayings.
Yeah, where to begin?
Sure. But one of his that I think is, holds true more often than not, hit dog holler. And Nick Iamaleava, father of Nico Iamaleava, is the one hollering on Twitter.
Yeah. This is a massive, massive hinge point for Tennessee. Let's say the worst case scenario happens here for Tennessee football, and that is Nico just hits a breaking point, says, I'm out. I'm going to go test out the market in the spring portal. I'll make $4 million. Don't worry about that. If that happens, there's going to be an exodus from this Tennessee roster.
Oh, hell yes.
Like, then you're talking about, I don't know, Mike Matthews, whose portal status was in question after the season, the 5-star receiver. At that point, are you talking about Boo Carter, who says, I want to play offense, but I want to play offense with the quarterback I know, who hits the portal and will have offers? That could be a dangerous spot for Tennessee. So this feels like a pretty big moment for the 2025 season for Josh Heupel's team.
It just feels like one of those old Western movies where you got a showdown at sundown between Nico and the Tennessee NIL office. Essentially, Nico's party in the NIL office at this point in time. Who's going to pull the trigger first?
I'm confused by just how visceral a reaction Nico's father, his side, have had to this. No, there's no negotiation going on. This is BS.
That's
calling Pete Nakos the B word on Twitter.
Ooh, not the B word.
I'm just saying. I mean, that's really where it went too far.
I'm sorry.
Was that one of George Carlin's 7?
Yes, I believe so.
It's just so funny the way he looked at me so genuinely. He called him the B word. How dare he?
I'm just saying it's an aggressive move for a report that clearly was accurate, right?
Oh no, but that's what I'm saying. Hit dog holler. Like
close family friends.
This is something that the family is rallying the wagons around Nico. So you're going to get hyper defensive, even though you're in the wrong. Like deny, and also give us more money. You've seen a million of these situations play out in your lifetime, Lucas. It's just the first time you're seeing it with your football program because it's never existed this way. Never. That's what makes, it's not new, but it's very fresh in the world of college sports. And that, I think, is why it's so, 1, concerning, 2, captivating. It's a fascinating story. Because if he transfers, it will upend, all of it across the sport.
No, again, for Tennessee specifically, I would be stunned if Nico transferred, hit the portal, and there wasn't an exodus that followed. I'd be stunned if that didn't happen. Right now, Tennessee behind Nico Iamaleava have Jake Merklinger, the former 4-star prospect that was able to spend a year as QB3 last season, and George McIntyre, the local product out of Brentwood Academy, who is going into his first year of college football.
Your phone ringing?
Oh, it is.
Fine.
Scam. I didn't notice that. Did you notice that, Bert?
It was Nico. He was calling to call you the B word.
Hello. No, it's his dad calling Lucas the B word. The B word. So anyway, Jim on YouTube says, feels like extortion as a fan. Extortion by whom? By the people who's, again, it's their prerogative. It is a business. This is set up for pay for play now. I know they're avoiding calling it that, but that's what it is. If you are in your feelings so much as a fan about this, I guess, it would fall on deaf ears for me to say, yeah, but what if it was you? What if you felt like you were being underpaid at your job and your job was saying things like, or your boss was saying things like, well, we're not going to blink. You're not that important. Or you not showing up for practice the day before the spring game. That's not going to make us blink. All right, bleep you. Then I'll go do it somewhere else and make more money anyway. I'm not beholden to you. That's the marketplace right now. Do not let your personal feelings, it's tough. I understand that. But you have to remove your personal feelings from the business negotiation. And it's why I don't envy people who negotiate things without representation, because of course you're going to get your feelings hurt when somebody's telling you, no, you're not really worth this much.
Yeah, but I will not begrudge fans for the frustration.
I won't, but I'm like, somebody calling it extortion is stupid. Like that, it's not extortion.
It is.
It's a negotiation.
It is an almost impossible spot to be in if you're Tennessee, because if you are the school that just says, oh, yep, you're right. No, you would make this elsewhere. We're going to give it to you. then there's a line that forms.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the Rudy line, but the opposite.
Yeah. People picking up the jerseys off the desk.
Exactly. Like not players putting their jerseys down, but players opening the desk and taking cash out. Like, oh, Nico got that. Oh, then I want this. Like, if you just kind of kowtow to that, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's a long line of players. Oh, well, I want this now. Then I want this now.
Lucas, they may not have a choice, which is why it's a smart negotiation tactic for Nico and his party to do this now.
But if you go the opposite direction and don't blink the way Chris Lowe reported and bank on Nico being with this team and being a leader for this team and sticking with it.
Then you're a recruiting talking point for every other program in America. Be like, oh, Tennessee won't pay you.
Exactly. And you could have an exodus on your hand. I mean, I really don't envy the people in these situations. It's why we need revenue sharing, and not just revenue sharing. We need a CBA. We need there to be legal parameters here. There needs to be buyouts. There needs to be contracts that are solidified. You are making X amount for X amount of years.
Yeah, Lucas, there will be, but it takes a story like this to make something like that happen, which is why I went back to earlier in the first hour talking about what's actually fair criticism of the current state of collegiate athletics. Because if nobody really could have foreseen this, then I don't know. Maybe we had to get one of these under our belt as a college sports consuming society before change could be made. It just so happens that it's happening to your favorite football program, and so now that becomes it becomes a talking point across sports, not just college football, but across sports, across collegiate sports. The NFL is going to be paying attention to this very, very closely. It has massive, massive ripple effects. I don't know if somebody could not have seen this coming. I feel like it was a pretty easy thing to see coming, which is why I think there is more fair criticism to be placed on the shoulders of the NCAA to allow this exploratory period for as long as they have to put people in a position. The NCAA has put people in a position to do this. So why are they the ones that are not getting the heat today as opposed to Nico, who's just taking advantage of the situation that's been presented to him?
That's calling Pete Nakos the B word on Twitter. Okay,
look at how innocent he sounds.
I'm going to make that into a promo.
The B word, oh no!
How dare he?
Zoinks!
Gosh, Scoob. He called Pete Nakos the B word. Come on, gang, get in the mystery machine. Let's get the hell out of here.
There's people that were definitely not listening to that last segment that have no idea what the hell we're talking about. David is in Mount Juliet up next.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call. You know, it is what it is. They made this monster. Now they got to deal with it with Nico. Tell him, heck no, you do what you got to do. We got to set a preference. They can't let this go on. They're going to be controlling it. You know, once you let the employees run the business, you know what happens. It goes down the crapper. I just want to thank you for taking my call, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the call, David. I'm sure there's a lot of people in management who feel that way, right? But if you're the employee and the opportunity presents itself, you do yourself a disservice if you do not take advantage of that. And to David's point, the NCAA has set this environment up. It's no one's fault but theirs.
Their head was in the sand for too long.
Coming up next, Coach Mack. Maybe we talk to Mack about this a little bit. Mack has plenty of experience in negotiations, having to clear a salary cap in Arizona, go through all the processes that were involved there, and certainly has many connections across the world of college football. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio joins us next. There are a lot of frustrations that happens to guys as they age, as your body starts to change. A part of that can be dudes feeling tired, sluggish, not like themselves, assuming that it's just a part of aging. Doesn't have to be that way. And the Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you through that process. If you're feeling low energy or having performance issues, you don't have to feel, those things don't have to feel inevitable. Solutions exist. The Tennessee Men's Clinic difference is there for you with no guesswork, no gimmicks, just real science and effective treatments. So beware of places like online pharmacies that offer you generic pills to generic solutions. You need personalized treatment plans to deal with whatever's going on with your body that's making you experience those lulls. Multiple urologists at the Tennessee Men's Clinic and providers with tailored solutions specifically to your bodies and your goals. The comprehensive men's services that they have include ED treatments and other options that many guys don't even know exists. So call them today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or visit them online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com today. Music to my ears, your ears, everybody's involved. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio joins us now. His visit's presented by Two Rivers Ford, where they've got a great deal going on right now for Middle Tennesseans and for anybody who might choose to be a Two Rivers Ford customer. Employee pricing. You pay what they pay at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Coach Dave McGinnis is always presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Happy Friday, Mac. You up to date on all this Nico Iamaleava Tennessee drama?
Well, of course. You know, I get a lot of information from a lot of people on a lot of things. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what, Buck? First of all, good morning, Buck, Lucas, I've already talked to Bert, which is very enlightening. Every time I get to talk to Bert,
enlightening is definitely a choice to use there, Mac. That's very diplomatic of you.
I always enjoy my visits with Bert. Look, I think everybody that was in the know, or everybody that has been involved in this at this iteration of what college football is now, I mean, it's professional football without a CBA, without any tenants that can control it. I don't know how they didn't think that this would happen, but so it's not anything that if you were in the know or if you were paying attention that you shouldn't expect. So I mean, this is what it is right now, and I don't like the fact that it's happening with the University of Tennessee because I like the people. I really care about it. It's a big thing, but it's in this day and age, and especially in the environment that they have allowed to happen. What do you expect?
Well, and that I guess is where I'm surprised where people are placing their frustrations, Mac. Like, I get it. Fans are upset about this, and you would totally understand that perspective. But the governing body that oversees all this stuff has allowed for this environment to exist. And I know, the NFL has a great deal more structure to it. But for the people involved in all of these things at every other level below the governing bodies, it's like something we talked to you about around owners meetings, just the consistency with officiating and things like that you're having to worry about, a million different things. And you get an unregulated version of the NFL's marketplace dropped into college sports this way. It's crazy to me that there was not some foresight, that there was not some proactive regulation on this, and that they just allowed this to play out. But that's just the way that I'm viewing this story from an external perspective.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, that's exactly what happened. Look, I've been through a lot of iterations in the National. I was in the National Football League before there was free agency, and I was in the National Football League before there was a salary cap, and I have been through all of that as a very, very deeply involved participant for 31 years. But when it first started, there was a lot of angst on this too. I can remember, when we were coaching the Pro Bowl and we had to sit on a bench in a high school gymnasium, and they had just come out with the fact that they're going to have what they call Plan B free agency, and you had to expose 15 of your players to total free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been through all of this. The thing about it is, if you don't have any guardrails, well, then it's a free-for-all, and that's what they've allowed to happen.
Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio here with us. Talk some draft with Mac here in just a second. We are less than 2 weeks away from the first round of the NFL Draft, where Titans Radio will have first round and coverage for you all throughout the course of the draft. You can check out everything that they're doing at TennesseeTitans.com.
So, Coach, could you take us into the mind of a current coach in college football, especially a current head coach, as you kind of take into account your experience in that era of the NFL and what you hear from your associates and friends and people you've worked with that are still in the college game? Just this feeling of your roster is never, ever truly settled. The idea that at any point, at any given time, snap of a finger, your quarterback can be on the way out. That could lead to an exodus or vice versa. Just take us inside the mind of a college football head coach right now.
Well, it's not only a head coach, Lucas, and you're right. I mean, I talk to a lot of coaches across the country, a lot of them for a lot of different reasons. But since the iteration of this has started happening, coaches in collegiate football now, they are basically every day in a workplace, it's like your feet are on the edge of a cliff as far as the roster goes, because you just don't know. You just don't know. Now, look, it's not every player. Look, your players that are the higher tier players, they are going to have the most leverage. But at the same time, I mean, it's got a rallying effect all the way through all different levels of college football. The guys I talk to that are really crushed right now by what's going on, are your smaller schools who take a chance on a guy out of high school. They're able to develop him, and as they're developing him, then they know that everybody else is watching. Say you were a Power 4 school and you weren't quite certain what a kid was like at 18, but at 20, after he's been to a place a couple of years, you go, you know what? This kid's matured, he's developed, let's go get him. And all of a sudden, the school that you're taking him from, they have to restart. I mean, it's got a cascading effect throughout everything. I mean, it really does. I mean, then you get to the higher level, like what's going on right now. Your top tier players, they've got leverage, and all the leverage right now is with the player, because with a player that's a top tier player, they're going to have a place to go. And to me, just the way it's set up, I've got nothing to do with the governance or the setup of it, but I'm looking at it as if I were in the middle of it. I mean, you've got 2 transfer portal dates and one coming, right after spring ball. So really, as a coach, you don't know, and your roster doesn't know either. It's not set after spring ball. I mean, it's not set at all. So there's a lot of variance to this thing, and they had no planning for it. This is what happens when on a massive scale with a massive amount of money available, and the pressure to win is exactly what it is in professional sports. You've got no guardrails, you've got problems.
Coach Dave McGinnis here to solve problems with us on 104.5 The Zone. His visit's presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Now, Mac doesn't deal in hypotheticals, but I'm going to present him one while trying to keep my powder dry. Okay, Mac? I'm going to do my best here.
All right, you've prefaced this pretty good, Buck. So anytime you preface something like that with me, either on the radio or in person, I know I got a problem. Go ahead.
That's right. You're the problem solver. That's what I said on the front end. I'm just trying to smooth this out for you, Mac. Okay. So there's nothing set in stone right now at the number 1 overall pick. We understand this, but things do look like they are trending towards a quarterback at number 1 overall. So that's the hypothetical portion of this. If an organization, any organization, Mac, not just the Titans, but any organization that's ever drafted a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick, you do things as an organization, top to bottom, in service of that number 1 overall pick, because you have to see them succeed. That may not marry itself with your draft needs versus your draft board and the best player available, i.e. a wide receiver over a pass rusher in a Titans hypothetical in this case. So as a coach and a front office, how do you go about the process of needs versus best player available? Because sometimes those two things do align that way as you let your draft board play out. Can you kind of help us with that scenario?
Well, and let's just talk about it in the case of the Titans right now. They need players at several positions. So it's not like whichever position that you take next that you're not going to need it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, you need players, and if you get a young quarterback, first of all, any type of good player you get at any position is going to help that player. It's not necessarily you get a quarterback and you've got to take a guy so that there's going to be people to throw it to, but you've also got to have accompanying talent across the board to be able to manage a game for this young quarterback also. So if you're in a position, as the Titans are in right now, where they need help at several positions, you take the best player at that position, because that's going to help all across the board. That's just the way it is.
Well, Coach, as we're talking about Tennessee's situation and Nico Iamaleava, who could certainly be a prospect in the NFL draft in 2026, how much do you think this stuff comes around when the draft process comes around? This example specifically with Nico, let's say he does have a good season with Tennessee or whoever in 2025, enters the draft as, let's say, a first-round prospect. How much are NFL teams going to be pressing him on exactly what went down with this situation?
Or, Mac, how much does it come up even with somebody like Shador this time around, where, you've got people of a certain age working in NFL front offices who probably aren't accustomed to dealing with a player who's got that much experience in certain departments?
Well, these players that are coming in now in the last several years, they've already got. You're right. They've got exposure now to having money. That doesn't. And look, once you get into the National Football League, there are guardrails in place. So, to your question, your first question, look, how much would this involve Nico if he has a great career and keeps coming? None, zero. Okay, and the same way, look. The National Football League understands the greatest thing that they do in all of my years of experience, they understand the environment. But they get out ahead of things. So it won't bother you. It doesn't bother you either way. But there are guardrails in place in the National Football League. I mean, the league was founded on being able to make things work so that everybody had a chance. And when this thing first started, I mean, you had some clubs that could have kept all the infant money from the television when they came in, but they said no, we're going to share this so we can grow the entity. And that's what they've always thought about first. So it'll have no effect, none.
Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio is kind enough to spend some time here with us. His visit is presented by Two Rivers Ford. You can check out the official Titans podcast where they have been doing a lot of draft preview material. Of course, they'll have coverage for you all draft weekend long on Titans Radio. TennesseeTitans.com is where you can get more information on everything that they're doing, including season ticket holder events and all manner of cool stuff that's coming up. Mac, thank you so much for the time as always, my brother, and we will talk to you again next Friday.
Thanks, Coach.
No, absolutely. My pleasure, guys. See you.
That's Coach Dave McGinnis with us on 104.5 The Zone. Looking forward to draft night.
Quick Masters update. Justin Rose, 9 under through 12, has a 3-stroke lead over Bryson DeChambeau, who is 6 under through 7. As we are about midway through, at least for those guys, on day 2 at Augusta National. And also, you can join 104.5 The Zone for our 2025 Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson, Monday, June 9th. It's at Nashville Golf and Athletic Club, right in the heart of Cool Springs. It's a historic golf course. Features breathtaking panoramic views of the beautiful Middle Tennessee countryside. Purchase your team today and choose between 2 flights, 8 a.m. or 1 p.m., and spend the day teeing off with us or taking shots with Robert Walsh on the green. His shirt will probably be off. He'll be running from hole to hole. See if you can catch him. For more information or to purchase a team, visit 1045thezone.com. Oh, there he is.
You make him sound like some kind of cute woodland creature. It's like finding a possum in your backyard. It's not a chipmunk. That thing's got rabies.
Oh, I think I see his head popping out of the bushes.
You're gonna take shit. Nashville Golf and Athletic Club is a very nice place. I mean, it's not like Greystone wasn't before it or whatever, but that's a little more out there. You're in civilization. You're gonna be taking shots out on the second green.
Like golf shots. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What did you think he was meaning?
Come on.
You think I was just going to be drinking liquor out there?
Come on.
Hard liquor?
I don't think I've
in front
ever
of the children?
been to one of these events where I didn't see you hovering around the bar tent the entire time.
Well, it's free, dude. What do you want me to do?
It's true.
Didn't you have to Uber home from the last? It was like a 45-minute Uber.
I didn't have to Uber because I live with my Uber. I made Cheyenne come pick me up.
Oh, no. That's right. Didn't Cheyenne have to Uber out to Dixon to get your car and drive?
Oh, that's right. She had to take an Uber to drive my car back.
That is a full hour.
You are the worst.
And her Uber driver was terrible too. It's one of those that you get in the Uber and they're like, "So how's your day? My day's been terrible." Her AC didn't work. They had to ride with the windows down the whole way.
I'm very grateful for the Uber community because many of them listen to the radio show as they will tell you from time to time, and we appreciate that. But I am one of those awful people that has my Uber on quiet mode. Like I will pay the extra money to not talk to anybody in the Uber.
And that's what I would prefer on my ride home. Cheyenne would not shut up. Like, please, what do I need to do, lady?
Bert's drunk, rolling around in the backseat. He probably stole a couple bottles of liquor from the bar as well.
I was giving them.
Giving them.
Giving the liquor.
By who?
I am
your
the
alternative. Your alternate personality.
That's the beauty of the 104.5 The Zone Golf Classic, though. You purchase a team, the liquor's included.
And
if you so choose.
I will say that I'm a terrible golf player, but I will play on someone's team if they have an open spot. Like, we could just lie. What I am a terrible golfer, I make up for as a really good liar. So I don't care if you throw your ball the whole way there. That doesn't bother me none.
Yeah, I mean, or you could just do that. You could just go along, drink, hang out in the golf cart, smoke a cigar. I mean, then that's kind of what Slade does. Well, Slade golfs, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
My favorite moment from the entire golf tournament was Slay and I commandeering a golf cart, riding around.
I remember this because I was waiting on Slay before I could leave, and the two of you were like down at hole like 12 or something like that.
I was hammered, and all we did was laugh at the terrible, terrible golf shots. We'd wait in silence, and you'd hear whoosh, Oh, that was terrible, dude. You could do way better than that.
It's like Charles Barkley during the match or whatever. He's just there to talk trash about other people's golf shots while also being actually, he's gotten better.
We were literally the Muppets version of like the Waldorf and Stanley, the old men that are in like the balcony. Oh, that was me and Slay, just making fun of everybody.
So if you want to have a great afternoon at the Nashville Athletic and Golf Club and be heckled while you try to get your tee shots off.
You're hiding in the bushes like Johnny Knoxville with an air horn.
Those things will not happen to you because I will make sure that he is tased if he does that to anybody. I will not be there to tase him.
How are you going to do that? You're not going to be in attendance.
I love Kirby for a great many reasons, but what I know about Kirby is that he is perpetually on my side. So if I send Kirby out to police Robert at the golf event, then I have zero doubt that it will get done.
You should have zero doubt that it will get done. Yes, he's not going to harass me at all. Kirby will be on the golf cart with me as we chain smoke cigarettes.
That's the other problem. Yeah, you're just going to bribe him. You're going to buy him with a pack of cigarettes, and I'll have no power over the situation whatsoever.
And a Pepsi.
Yeah, keep them stocked. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is how you get involved. So Justin Rose continues to lead there, had a really nice day yesterday. To the opposite effect, is there, I mean, I know that we are not, the three of us, avid consumers of golf. Like Masters rolls around, we start paying attention.
For sure.
And that's, that's fine. But there are golfers that you pay attention to. For example, storylines that you follow. Rory McIlroy is one of them. Scotty Scheffler is another.
Yep.
But like somebody like Max Homa, who is just one of the more confusing players in golf to me because like I see the talent, right? And then he just has an awful year generally. They were talking about it this morning while I was watching the coverage. And you watch somebody like just not breeze through Augusta, but they have the right skill set. Like that's just going to be their day and they're going to tear it up. And on the opposite side of things, you got Max Homa just drowning. And I don't know, golf is one of these sports to me. And maybe it's because I'm not a good golfer. I enjoy it. I like going out there. I also like smoking a cigar and drinking and hanging out in a golf cart and things like that. All the fun stuff about golf, not my actual golf game. But golf seems to be one of those sports to me where when you're on, when you feel good about your golf game, have any of the three of us ever felt good about our golf games ever?
I have felt good about
a shot.
Like a swing, a shot. Yeah. Oh man, crushed that one.
I still hold the course record in Myrtle Beach at the dinosaur putt-putt there.
Yeah,
I felt great about my game all the time.
We should do a class putt-putt outing at some point. Putt Shack, no free ads, looks like a great time. But golf to me feels like one of those sports where if you feel like your game is good, you feel like you got it. And then when your game goes bad, as it inevitably does to every golfer ever, no matter how much you practice and no matter how much you play, when your golf game's bad, you feel like you're never going to get it back. You're just drowning in it.
I feel like my best shots always happen in the first 2 or 3 holes. And I progressively get worse and worse and worse to the point where I'm going on the back 9. I'm like, I just want to go home. I'm not having fun.
I'm the total opposite. After I'm out there and you get a little sunburn, you get a little licky in your system, that's when I start sinking putts. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys were like this in college, but after you've lost a couple beer pong games and you've had to drink a little bit, you start sinking them.
You get in your flow state, your zen state.
That malaise comes over your eyes. You're like, oh yeah.
You're Cam Newton with the towel over his head nodding on the sideline. Okay,
put me in.
Okay, let's
Island.
Go. By the way, you mentioned Rory McIlroy. It was kind of tough watching him on the back 9 yesterday. You just get the feeling man, Rory's he's never going to get this one, is he? He's 1 under at this point through 8 on the day. Like I mentioned, Justin Rose, a 3-shot lead at the top of the leaderboard over DeChambeau. Scheffler at 4 under. So he is 5 strokes back of Justin Rose. And he is just getting started. Scotty Scheffler, I believe.
Do I have things to give away?
Oh, boy, do you. And I have written, produced, edited, the whole 9 yards, a new promo for the install that we will debut. But you do have 2 tickets to see Greg Cosell at the Analog Room at the Hutton Hotel May 2nd?
May 2nd.
Friday.
Friday,
check
May
it
the
out.
2nd. That's right. 615-737-1045. If you want to hang out with Cosell, you're drafting a quarterback. Greg is going to be there to break it down. And this year, we have a new carrot for you that I'll tell you about a little later on. So if you want to get tickets to the live show, we have had very generously a listener donate 2 tickets for you to win. So shout out to Nate Samuels, I believe is the listener who DM'd me on Instagram, who purchased tickets for one of you to go to the install. If you were not thinking about purchasing tickets of your own, now is your time. Give us your Friday Fire, your moment of positivity, the thing that made you feel good in sports, your personal life, your work life, or whatever. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Oh, we got a big announcement from Two Rivers Ford. It's employee pricing for everyone. That's right. You pay what they pay at Two Rivers Ford. On almost every new Ford on the lot. And at Two Rivers Ford, what you see is always what you get. By the way, we had a fun conversation with the people at Two Rivers Ford yesterday. We got some fun stuff coming for you that is going to be brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. They don't do things like add expensive accessories or tack on service packages to increase the price of the vehicles. They do not price gouge. They are upfront and honest every single time. And now they're offering you employee pricing. There's no better time to buy American, and there's no better dealership than Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, home of the non-commissioned sales team, and now home of employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America, Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Indeed, for the opportunity to win a pair of install tickets generously donated by one of the listeners. On Friday, May the 2nd, hang out with Greg Koselmi and 250 Titans fans in the house breaking down the free agency class, the draft class at the Analog Room in the Hutton Hotel. We've got a full bar. We've got a Hattie B's catered green room. We're fired up about it. Presented by Hattie B's, Two Rivers Ford, and Wholesale Supply Group. But you don't have to buy those tickets at 1045thezone.com. You can if you don't win them today, but you can win them right now if you give us your Friday Fire, your moment of positivity, the thing that made you feel good, the thing that warmed your heart at some point this week. It's probably not Nico Iamaleava or the NCAA or Tennessee football. Right now, if that you've been documenting or keeping up with everything that's happened there, but there's a great many options to pull from, and we'll take your phone calls on that here in just a second. I will start the bidding. My Friday Fire is Frankie Fleetwood. Lucas, do you know who Frankie Fleetwood is?
Educate me.
He is the son of Tommy Fleetwood, who obviously was participating in the par 3 contest that is traditionally held on Wednesday before the Masters tournament officially begins. You got children of all kinds of players out there. You got spouses out there caddying. You got it's a good time, a great family bonding experience for the golfers that they broadcast live on ESPN. So Tommy Fleetwood has a son named Frankie, and Frankie was out there participating with his pops. And Frankie Fleetwood was interviewed after the par 3 tournament and gave one of the best interviews a 7-year-old has ever given in the history of 7-year-olds being interviewed.
Well, I've been doing my hardest to get it over the green. I've been practicing as hard as I can. Just not reaching it this year, but I'm just trying my hardest.
Oh, my God. I had no idea this was a child. When you asked me to record this, I assumed that Rory McIlroy had a terrible shrinking accident.
Wait, you thought he inhaled some helium or something like that before speaking to reporters?
Fed him up or something. I'm not sure.
I love how legitimately disappointed he seems to be.
I've just been trying my hardest.
That's literally what I sound like whenever Buck fusses at me about something on the show.
Well, I've been doing my hardest to get it over the green. I've been practicing as hard as I can. Just not reaching it this year, but I'm just trying my hardest.
I'm just trying my hardest.
He's trying so hard.
I just picture something like a little like SpongeBob. You ever seen that SpongeBob episode where he forgets his name because they threw out the file that has his name in it?
What's his name?
You have all the little SpongeBobs in SpongeBob's heads running around because they threw out the file that was his name. Bert, to me, every time I yell at him, there's just some little person in his head speaking that way. I'm just trying my hardest.
He's tried so hard. He's doing his best.
What's your Friday Fire, Lucas?
Man, I am no fan of the Florida Gators. I was not happy to see them win the national championship last Monday, but I did love this that was sent to us by Gator Mike, the Spanish radio broadcast of Florida's national championship victory over Houston. We have had the privilege of having Carlos Lopez on, the Vol Network's Spanish announcer, who brings so much passion and excitement to those Tennessee games. It is awesome. His story is awesome. And I love that this is popping up around various programs. And this was the Spanish call of Florida's national championship on the final play.
Lo va a esperar Richard. Cruza la media cancha, 14 segundos por jugar. El campeonato en juego para los Cougars. La tiene Yusan por la derecha, recogió el drible y ahora le quedan 7 segundos. 5, ahora crash up. ¡Ay, ay, ay! Caminó, no puede tocar la pelota y la va a recuperar, la va a robar Condor y todo ha terminado. Houston, you have a problem. Los Gators, campeones universitarios por tercera ocasión.
I can't wait to play that Houston, you have a problem clip. Anytime.
Houston, you have a problem.
Anytime the Houston Texans do something dumb.
It's going in every Titans hype. Anything we make back here, like, dude, the winning touchdown.
Houston, you have a problem.
It's perfect. Why do sports sound so much cooler in every other language but English?
Yeah, we are the lamest language.
By a mile.
No, but I will say American English is better than a lot of, I think, British English calls. Sure. So the lack of excitement on some of those when you're watching Champions League or something.
No, the best English sports commentary is Tommy Fleetwood.
Just trying my hardest.
Our attempts at a British accent or an English accent has been brutal today. Bert, what's your Friday Fire?
I If you guys have seen Louis Riddick talking about his rumors, his reports that Shedeur Sanders did not want to be selected in the top 10, well, lucky for Shedeur, he had an opportunity to answer these concerns on Kay Adams' Up and Adam, and this is what he had to say.
Louis Riddick had something to say. He said he doesn't think you want to be drafted in the top 3. Is there truth to that?
I have never spoke to Louis Riddick in my life.
Thank you. Appreciate you answering that for us.
He shot that down so fast. Yes, I want to be a top 3
Yeah,
pick.
I want the money. Shut up, Lou.
That's all I got. I just loved how
and that just blunt.
And that was the clip. That was the clip, by the way. If you look it up, it's Kay Adams' awful audio from her Zoom setup in some apartment Airbnb somewhere.
Yeah, is she on vacation?
I don't know.
I would love
she
to
just
make.
woke up respectfully. Like, I mean, I know I do this job. Like, I look like I just woke up most days. But like, I don't know. That was just. It's a nationally televised broadcast, isn't it?
Yeah, you can just hear like
be drafted in the top 3.
Yeah, like audio static. What are we doing,
Terrible.
Kay? Come on.
Respectfully. All right, 615-737-1045. You want some install tickets? I got a pair for you.
Do you like draft evals? Want to know if these players suck? Then you need to be at the install May 2nd on Friday at the Analog at the Hutton Hotel. Premier draft evaluators like Greg Cosell. He's so hot! That snooty Buck Rising. We'll sell you a seat, but you'll only need the edge. Get your tickets at 1045thezone.com.
What'd you get inspired by the Metallica promo we've been running for 6 months?
I thought it would be funny to see what it would sound like as a monster truck promo. So
pretty good. Pretty good. Not your worst work. 615-737-1045 if you want to go to the install and attend to that raucous event that Bert just promoted for you. We've got 2 tickets for you to win. All you need to do is tell us what your Friday fire is. Let's start with Dwayne in McMinnville.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. I guess kind of warmed my heart. So the company that I work for is in McMinnville, Keurig Dr. Pepper, and we donated 10 full pallets of beverages to the Warren County High School there for their raise money for their project graduation. Each pallet's probably 104 plus cases.
Awesome. Well done by you and your company. Thanks for the call, Dwayne. Let's go to Martha up next. Hey, Martha. Oh, Martha, I can hear myself on the radio in the background.
All right.
Bingo.
Come on, Martha. We're just not going to take Martha? Okay.
Keep it moving.
Do I have to?
Keep it moving.
They've been so bad.
Just keep it moving.
Chip in Nashville is up next. Chip, don't let me down.
I know it's early in the baseball season, but I'm going to go with those San Diego Padres. First team to 10 wins, including the vaunted Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's a great accomplishment, especially Braves fans have had a horrible start to their season. What did they start out like? 0-7?
They're
something ridiculous.
Yeah, they're 3-9.
Josh Pate was going through it on the internet. I think he was proudly proclaiming that the Braves were going to win the World Series again, but. So good for the Padres. Good start. Remember to stay on hold for the opportunity to win those tickets. How about June in Lebanon next?
Hey, guys. Mine is after the NCAA final game Monday night, Walter Clayton going up to the guard. I can't remember his name, consoling him immediately after he just pretty much jumped up in the air and had to let it go. I mean, that was just pure sportsmanship and compassion, which, you don't see much of, and it was good to see.
No, it's a great submission, June, and I'm glad that you brought it up. Because Houston has been pretty roundly panned for their final, not just final possession, but the final 3 possessions after they just couldn't get a shot off with the game on the line. And the player that you're talking about is Emmanuel Sharp from Houston. I'm sure he got a lot of negative feedback. I'm sure he got a lot of hate on the internet. I'm sure that there were a lot of people who didn't reach out to him when he was down tremendous. So to see Walter Clayton do that was a really cool thing. Thank you for the submission. June, how about Tucker in Lebanon?
What's up, guys? Yeah, so I had a similar master story. So Rory McIlroy's daughter, Poppy, I don't know if y'all saw it, but she had a fantastic putt. I think it might have been on the par 3 challenge, but, I don't really know how long it was, really, but, I mean, y'all really need to watch the video. Just the celebration afterwards. It was just a really fun moment, really showing the family aspect of the Masters.
Yeah, and it's one of the cool things about the par 3 competition. Thank you for the call, Tucker. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, she drains it.
Yeah. Put her up against Fleetwood's kid.
It's awesome, yeah. Yeah, that choking dog Fleetwood that can't get it on the green.
My goodness. That is a child.
Just not reaching it this year, but I'm just trying my hardest.
He's just trying his hardest.
Yeah, he's doing his best. My goodness.
Choking dog.
Oh, man.
Too much?
But you can't even color in the lines, you little brat.
Yeah, see, this is why I can't be around children, because, I don't know how to talk to them.
We need...
Hello, little sir. Buck, whenever Buck talks to kids.
Hello, small human.
It's so uncomfortable for me. Because, I don't know.
How do you do?
I'm not going to use a baby voice with them.
So what do you do?
Hi, how are you? And then they stare at me like I've got 6 heads, and I'm like, all right, have a good day.
Get your taxes done?
There needs to be before the Masters, do away with the par 3 and let's just do a kids Masters, kids of
that's
the
kind
of
what
the
the par
players.
3 is.
Yeah, you're right.
Justin is next. Good idea by you. What you got, Justin?
Yeah, man, honestly, my positivity is just through sports and y'all in general. I drive around all day and listen to y'all, and honestly, it puts me in a better mood. And as far as sports go, the relevancy of Tennessee Volunteers right now, as, football's fading in, but basketball's fading out, but we can still talk about it like we've never been able to really in the past few years, and be able to pick up through the transfer portal and have guys like maybe Rice. We already have Gillespie, but it literally puts me in a better mood just to listen to y'all and to know that there's relevancy in Tennessee with all sports right now.
Okay. Justin knowing how to win things from us, just saying.
And congratulations to Justin. We'll see you at the install.
Yeah. I don't know. It's got to be Poppy McIlroy, right? I mean, that was sick.
That was the toss-up.
I'm between June and Tucker. Somebody pick.
Well, Justin dropped off.
Oh.
Let's give it to June.
Dadgummit.
Or no, Tucker had Rory McIlroy's daughter, right?
He goes, let's give it to June. Oh, no, wait.
I'm sorry. I thought June,
Hold on.
I thought June had the Rory thing. Sorry, June.
I want to give it a chip.
Congrats, Tucker.
Let's make them all sit there, and whoever stays on hold the longest wins.
Damn it. Congratulations to Tucker. You're going to the install live with me, with Cosell, with 250 other Titans fans. It's going to be a great time. We'll see you Friday, May the 2nd. Stay on hold. Bert will get in contact with you shortly. Tune in every Friday for Friday Fire for the opportunity to win great prizes. Will the Browns or Giants keep adding quarterbacks? We'll talk about it next.
It is 12:03. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. There is plenty of drama in Knoxville around Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. It was reported yesterday from Pete Nakos of On3 Sports that Iamaleava is renegotiating his contract ahead of the 2025 season and that it is uncertain whether or not he would enter the portal after spring practice. Iamaleava and his side of things denied that report, but today Nico Iamaleava was not present at Tennessee's final spring practice of 2025 ahead of the Orange-White game tomorrow afternoon, which you can hear right here on 104.5 The Zone, courtesy of the Vol Network. Chris Lowe of ESPN reporting that right before the winter portal closed, Iamaleava's reps wanted to see his deal up to the $4 million range. So, Nico's status in flux currently with Tennessee football. The Masters continue, second round at Augusta National. Justin Rose still at the top of the leaderboard at 8 under through 14. Bryson DeChambeau right on his heels at 7 under through 9. In NFL news, the Cleveland Browns have signed quarterback Joe Flacco a one-year, $4 million deal that could be worth up to $13 million with incentives. He is 40 years old, Flacco, and returns to Cleveland, where he helped the Browns to the 2023 playoffs. Nashville Soccer Club is back home this weekend, hosting Real Salt Lake at Geodis Park Saturday night. Kickoff is at 7:30. Pre-game coverage right here on The Zone starts at 7. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Drama in Knoxville. That's been the headline of the day. I don't know how Mike Keith's going to talk about it here in about 15 minutes from now, but we are going to have the voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, on the show here in just a little while. He's got the spring game tomorrow. The added wrinkle to that is the Nico situation. We have been talking about it for the vast majority of the show today. Nico Iamaleava, an alleged hold-in for a greater sum of money than he is currently being compensated with, is not attending practice today. Came as a surprise to staff and to players. It is adding to frustrations that apparently and reportedly have already existed with this ongoing situation. And Vols fans are not coping overwhelmingly well. Though I don't know, I know it's about Vols fans today, and you can call in, react to it if you want. 615-737-1045 is how you do so. FNM Bank Chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. If you're live streaming the show today, you can see Mike Keith on YouTube. Is Mike on YouTube?
No, Mike will, or you're asking if he's on Zoom?
Yeah, am I going to see Mike Keith?
No. Mike will be calling in today. Okay. You can see Mike Keith on YouTube with the Mike Keith Show on Tennessee Athletics YouTube page, which has been excellent. He's had great guests, including John Gruden, which I can't wait to ask him about. That was a fascinating conversation.
Okay, very good. So you will hear Mike Keith today, but sometimes you can see our guests on Zoom, like Todd McShay or Nate Tice, or who else has been on Zoom? I don't know. There have been a bunch of people on Zoom. So you can check out that on 104.5's the Zone's YouTube channel, like the video, and subscribe while you're there.
Steven on the FNM Bank Chat says, let him leave. Talking about Nico.
Yeah, but what happens to the rest of your roster?
This is
so say you put your foot down. Let's walk through this scenario.
Yeah.
Say you put your foot down, and you say like what Chris Lowe has reported, which is that Tennessee doesn't plan to blink over this negotiation tactic.
Which, by the way, Lowe also reported they're looking for the $4 million range.
Okay. So you say, no, you know what, Nico? You agreed to this. You're playing for this. We understand the circumstances surrounding the current athletics environment and the NIL environment, but we'd like you to honor your situation. And he says, no, I'm good. And he transfers to, I don't know, Alabama.
Worth noting, he cannot transfer within the conference and play next season.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, in the spring window. So that is probably off the table to Bama, A&M.
Who needs a quarterback?
Or, Oregon to replace Dylan Gabriel.
Okay, Oregon. Transfers to Oregon. What then? What does the University of Tennessee do then? I don't even know. And you would know this, but I don't know it. Who's the backup quarterback in Knoxville?
Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre are the other quarterbacks on the roster. They have Faison Brandon committed, the 5-star quarterback, but that's for next year. Merklinger has had a year in the system. McIntyre, this is his first year, both former 4-stars.
So the ripple effect is, all right, you're going to the college football playoff with either of those two? I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty on your roster already with Nico. What if you go through this process and Nico's not the only one who transfers post-spring game in the post-spring football transfer portal? Because it starts a wave of transfers. You mean the 5-star quarterback that took us to the college football playoff this year is gone? Also, our offensive line is in flux. Also, we're trying to figure out our wide receiver situation. Also, this, that, and the other. Like, there's a bunch of different questions on Tennessee's roster right now. Don't you have to pay him?
This is a lose-lose, it feels like. Lose-lose proposition for Tennessee football.
For Tennessee football. It's not a lose-lose for Nico. Football. Yeah. It's a win-win for Nico.
Nico's going to get this money no matter what. From somebody. SEC or not. It's not going to be SEC because he's going to want to play in 2025. You either say, okay, we'll give you what you want. And then the line forms outside of Spire Sports for Mike Matthews saying, oh, well, now I want more. And Boo Carter saying, well, now I want more. And Joshua Josephs saying, I'm pretty much replacing James Pierce Jr. I want more. Or you say no. And there's a mass exodus that follows. Either way you shake it, unless Tennessee is able to expertly negotiate this and maybe Nico and his side agree to 3.5 million or something like that, and you come out feeling okay about it. But that's just the place that we're in. Programs are more often than not in a lose-lose situation where you pay one guy, everybody else wants to get paid. You don't pay a guy, and he could be the first domino that leads to an exodus from your roster. Mike Matthews almost hit the portal in the winter window. So I'm telling you, if Nico's not on this team, your 5-star receiver probably also is not on this team. He was on the cusp of it a few months ago. So it's just a hugely, hugely pivotal moment for Tennessee right now. If they can't figure this out with Nico, it is hard to imagine how Tennessee will be competitive in the 2025 season. And it's not even that Nico is this top-tier quarterback that he proved he should be a Heisman contender. That'll still be the expectation. And that's the other thing. If you pay him, you give him the $4 million, then you risk overpaying an underperforming player, right? And let's say he goes through 2025 and doesn't take that much of a leap, then that's what you paid for. So it's quite the crossroads for Tennessee right now.
It's not just about 2025 to me, though. It's about the aftermath of, all right, you don't pay him. How are other programs going to use that in recruiting against you, in negotiations against you?
Absolutely.
For talent that is currently committed to you. Oh, you see what happens here at Tennessee? You're already committed to them. See how they handled their 5-star quarterback, the position that's supposed to be more important than any other on the roster? See how it went? And now all of a sudden, Josh Heupel's, what he started to create is a pipeline of quarterback talent that's coming to the University of Tennessee because you can statistically produce in that offense. Now, it becomes a recruiting tool against you. And that is, honestly, is that the biggest recruiting, the biggest point to use against a program right now in college sports is they won't pay you enough.
Faison Brandon is, by a lot of services, the number one quarterback in the 2026 class, 5-star. I don't know what his NIL situation is, if there is one right now, but you could bet that schools still trying to chase after Faison Brandon would tell them, hey, look what they wouldn't pay Nico what he was worth, what the market said he was worth. Nico's not worth $4 million because of how he played last year. He's worth $4 million because Duke's quarterback is getting that, because Carson Beck is getting that. So this is, it's a big moment right now for the 2025 season and just the short and long-term future of the program.
I'm seeing a lot of comments like in our YouTube comments, and we'll get to your phones here in just a second. One says, Nico can kick rocks with flip-flops on. It's not his fault. System's fault. You want to be mad at anybody? Be mad at the NCAA. Nico's just the first one into the breach. It just so happens to be at the University of Tennessee. It could have happened to Ohio State first, could have happened to Michigan first, could have happened to Alabama first. It's not. It's happening to you. So I think Nico is doing the right thing here. I understand why fans would hate it.
We got a call from somebody, Andy out in Nashville, wanted to know, and we may not have an answer to this. I didn't know the answer to this. Are they allowed, rather than to upgrade his contract, give him a big lump sum of money up front, would they be able to put incentives in a contract similar to what the NFL does to say, like, okay, if you're able to raise the standard of your play and hit X benchmark or take us to the playoffs again, would they be able to do that? I don't know if that's, I am assuming it's allowed because it's the Wild Wild West, but I don't know if that's been done in other people's contracts or if that's what the Vols are doing. That's what Andy would like to know.
Andy, I wish I had an answer for you off the top of my head because, I mean, these contracts aren't public, so I'm not familiar with the language of NIL contracts the way that I would be in the NFL.
None. No idea. No idea what the parameters are, if there's an out, right? All the things we talk about in dead money and none of that stuff applies. There's not a cap. There might be at some point in revenue sharing, but no clue. We're totally in the dark on this. All we know is what's reported.
Let me ask you this question then. As a fan, as a Vols fan, Tennessee and Oregon are two of the states, as Brent Hubbs laid out earlier on the morning show. We played that audio earlier. If you missed it, you can go check out the podcast for Ramon, Kayla, and Will. He was on with them this morning. Tennessee and Oregon are currently lobbying to report contract details to the governing bodies, but to not make them public because they don't want other programs. Oregon and Tennessee don't want other programs, two of the states that are lobbying against publicly producing that information as I think Brent Hubbs called it Freedom of Information Act type stuff. Because they don't want people looking at price tags on players and be like, oh, we can price him out of Tennessee or we can price him out of Oregon. Are you for or against that as a fan? Because there's something to knowing what these kids are making, knowing what their contract looks like, knowing what the ins and outs of the details are. Are there incentives? Are there outs? Are there protections for the university? Versus, what you open yourself up to, which is what Tennessee and Oregon are trying to prevent against, which is a bidding war.
I think you need a CBA before you can look at any of that other stuff. There's got to be some parameters in place, and then we can talk about that being public information.
You want to talk to Mike Keith next?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Voice of
no.
Make it happen.
No, it's so bad. He's the voice of the Vols. He's Mike Keith. He's coming up next. No, we won't. Occurrences like inflation, election cycles, new laws, and interest rates can affect the financial markets in the short term, but it doesn't make sense to keep changing the way that you invest in response to the daily news. That's why you need a partner like Trajan Wealth. Trajan Wealth is there to help you review your strategy and to make sure that it's right for your goals, for your risk tolerance, and for your time horizon. They have done this for so many people, and they can help do it for you because you've definitely lost sleep at some point in your life, certainly in the last couple of months with everything that's going on in the news about your financial situation or just general financial insecurity. If you feel like you need somebody to help you come up with a plan that will determine your financial future and get you on solid ground, Trajan Wealth is who you need to call. They will walk you through the process and make sure that it is tailored to your specific goals and your needs. Their number is 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. Bet on the game, not your financial future. Call Trajan Wealth today. TrajanWealth.com for more information. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, and we are delighted to have an old friend in a new role join the show. He's the voice of the Vols. He's Mike Keith. He's working 9 to 5, doing the Mike Keith Show. He's encompassing all things University of Tennessee. The conversations have been awesome. You can check it out on the Tennessee Athletics YouTube channel. It's a great watch. Lucas has been fawning over your John Gruden interview for days at this point, Mike, and it was excellent, as is most of the things. Everything that you do is typically brought that standard of care, and we appreciate it. It's good to have you, bud, and we're happy for you. Thanks for jumping on.
It's good to be with you. Thanks for the kind words.
Of course, always. So, not to do the TMZ stuff right out of the gate, Mike, but like this Nico Iamaleava thing is in the news. Vols fans are, it adds an extra sense of just curiosity ahead of the spring game, and I wonder how you guys are approaching the unknown, or what, to us is the unknown with the broadcast tomorrow for the spring game.
We're going to broadcast whoever's there, and our broadcast was already going to be very tempered from the standpoint of actual play-by-play, based on the fact that due to injury, they had made some significant changes to what the format's going to be anyway. It's going to be, in my opinion, part practice, part scrimmage, part, just look at the football team overall, because they are down to low numbers in certain positions. And so due to that fact, it was not going to be a full out, 4-quarter or even, 10-minute 4-quarter scrimmage. So I would say our broadcast is going to be probably something similar to something the NFL Network would do from the Combine, talking about the spring, talking about players, talking about positions, much more of a conversation about Tennessee football and a wrap-up of spring practice than the actual play-by-play. The storyline about the quarterback, I mean, if he's not there, it's certainly a storyline. I know what's been reported today. I was not at practice because I was at an event for young alumni at the student union, and then I was at the arena. We're preparing for the Tennessee Athletic Department Hall of Fame induction tonight. Eric Berry and Tony White are two of the biggest names that go in. So, this sort of wrap up of spring practice, there are all sorts of events, and that's obviously taken over all of the conversation and taken up a lot of the oxygen from what is out there right now on what is normally just kind of a calm day.
It's Mike Keith, voice of the Vols, here with us on 104.5 The Zone. You can hear the Vol Network broadcast of Tennessee's spring game tomorrow right here on The Zone and across the Vol Network. I mean, Mike, this is a dumb question to ask you, but how much are you enjoying this? I know you sink yourself into everything that you do 110% no matter what, but it's so fun to watch you get to do this job.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm having a good time, and we're doing a lot of things that I'm really excited about. I think philosophically, the athletic department wants to do a lot of things that will get our programming to our fans, whether they be 9 to 90. And as you know, Buck, they consume programming, they consume content in vastly different ways across the spectrum of ages. We've got a product that people are very interested in, to say the least. And because of the blessing of that, they'll take everything they can get. Yeah. So we're going to work to feed that, and we're going to work to take the resources that we have this fall. It's like, do we continue this Mike Keith show this fall? We're trying it out a little bit here in the spring and seeing if it gets a good enough response, and we'll see. I'm hopeful. I think there's some good feeling about what we can do with some of that, and some of our other programming, maybe retrofitting it a little bit to offer it, not only on radio and television, but maybe a live streaming component and things of that sort. We certainly have the resources and the facilities here to do it. And we have students to help, which is a great thing because they get real world experience, and they are technologically much more sound than I am. So it's really been a lot of fun to take these ideas and sit down and say, people want to hear about Tennessee athletics. How do we do different things to give them a chance to get involved in that way? And, the YouTube channel, the Tennessee Athletics YouTube channel, has grown just in the last 3 weeks significantly. And we hope people keep subscribing to it because we drop a lot of great programming on there. And, the truth is people didn't know. People didn't know that you get the Juice and you get the Everything Orange podcast and you get a lot of the great videos and things like that. I've had a lot of friends say, well, why didn't you tell me this? And I said, well, I'm telling you now. But I didn't tell you because I didn't work here. I worked at another place. So now that I work here, I'm going to tell you.
And by the way, for those of you who are live streaming with us today, Bert will drop the link to the latest Mike Keith show, episode 3 on the Tennessee. You're very welcome, Mike. Please, it's the very least that we can do for you for coming on the radio show at a very busy time of year, especially for you. So you can get the Mike Keith show on the Tennessee Athletics YouTube channel. So if you're viewing with us on YouTube today, make sure you pop on over to Tennessee Athletics and subscribe.
Yeah, the latest episode with head coach Kim Caldwell, with Tennessee linebacker Jeremiah Thielander. Great conversations. Vol Network coverage on The Zone, by the way, tomorrow from 1 to 3 with Mike and Ramon Foster, making his Vol Network debut as the analyst. Just can't wait to listen. Mike, I do want to ask you about that John Gruden conversation because I was enthralled by it watching it the other day. But with this situation around Nico and just college football as a whole, you yourself being a college football fan ever since you left Knoxville to come to take the Titans job, obviously this is very different for you too from that perspective. But I also wonder how strangely familiar this is for you, having worked with an NFL organization for so many years and now going into the college level where it's starting to look more and more similar to that every day.
Lucas, that is a fabulous question. And it's funny because I got a similar question this morning at the young alumni event we did over at the Student Union. It's totally familiar. It's 100% familiar because you would have different things come up where people were trying to gain leverage at different points. And, so many of those things came up over the years that I was aware of that never got out because they got solved. 10 of them get solved for every one that the public hears about in the pro ranks. There are always these things that are sort of hanging out there that could happen, and you just, you wait. So my shock and awe level is very, very because I've seen it. And I think that's really helped me some in this job already because in meeting some of our athletes, they're very similar to the pro players now who were interested in their brand, who were interested in, they did things and were very cooperative when they had the opportunity to do things that helped their brand. And so us being able to have these things on our mind that's going to be able to help them, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing because, they're making dough and, they're doing it in different ways that, and they're just getting into it. They're just establishing that brand and understanding it, and they're doing it at different price points. And they're also understanding some are going to have great pro careers and some are not. And so, really establishing themselves in different ways for whatever they want to do next. Maybe they want to go into television. Maybe they're going to sell insurance. Maybe they're going to try to be an influencer of some sort or an actor. Or, who knows? But the bottom line is this is their opportunity to get started on that. Instead of just talking about it in a class, now they're really doing it. And so I think if we put forward things here for them that help them do that, that's a good thing. And that's what we should be doing. We should be facilitating not only their educational experience, but if this is going to be another component of it, this is part of the deal. We're not going to stick our heads in the sand and act like it's not there. Just the same way when students come here wanting to work in broadcasting, we're going to help them. And we're going to help them find jobs. It's why if you're a broadcasting student, if you think that's what you want to do, you ought to come to Tennessee because we're going to use students here. And we're excited about that possibility. So I think it's right in line, and I'm obviously very thankful for my experience for a lot of different reasons, very blessed to have had it. But I think at moments like today and at moments like any time in the last 3 months, I think it's been extremely helpful to me. I'm very thankful for that.
So understanding that Nico and whether or not he'll be at the orange and white game is a huge part of the story. There are a lot of other important competitions that have been happening throughout the course of spring practice. 4 out of 5 starters being replaced on the offensive line. New unproven faces at wide receiver, Mike. Which of those competitions are you most looking forward to watching as they continue to play out in the spring game?
I think the offensive line is a big one because Wendell Moy seems to be the left guard right now. The center thing is still up for grabs. If Pendleton were to win the center job, there are a couple of offensive linemen, Sham Umaroff and Jesse Perry from Murfreesboro, who could be in the mix at the other guard spot. And then, what's going to happen at right tackle with Larry Johnson? Can he hold off young David Sanders, who looks like every bit the 5-star he was rated? So I think that's fascinating. The receiver thing is really interesting. I don't know how interesting it will be tomorrow because I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure what all they're going to do. Pretty excited about Travis Smith, the freshman, and excited about Radarius Jackson, the freshman, and Joakim Dotson, who's not here yet. I'm excited about what he's going to do. I think Tennessee has a chance to be more explosive at receiver than they were a year ago, but they've got to be more consistent at the same time. On defense, I think you're still looking at edge rushers. You're wanting some guys to continue to come on. Isaiah Campbell and Ethan Utley in the defensive line. Really excited about Edwin Spillman at linebacker. Can't wait to see Arian Carter get back. And in the secondary, a guy like Caleb Beasley being moved to safety and showing some good things, along with Idris Farouk, who's had a really good spring. The thing I can tell you, Lucas, which is the most positive part of Tennessee football to me right now, the last 2, maybe even the last 3 recruiting classes, but certainly the last 2, there's a lot of talent. And that talent is going to be what starts to take over some of the starting spots, but certainly some of the depth spots for sure. And this is more SEC top-level recruiting than what Tennessee has been in a long, long time. There's still not – that roster is still not what Josh Heupel wants it to be and what it will be as they continue to recruit. But there are a lot more guys in those 2, maybe even those 3 classes that are starting to look like top-end SEC team players. And you don't do this with smoke and mirrors. You might get a 10-win season every once in a while with, the schedule falls right or things happen or what yada, yada, yada. But, if you're going to be a consistent contender in this league, it's got to be year in, year out depth in recruiting. And Tennessee has started to stack those classes.
Mike Keith with us, Vol Network broadcast tomorrow of the spring game. Looking forward to it. You can hear it right here on 104.5 The Zone. Host of the Mike Keith Show as well. Check out the Tennessee Athletics YouTube channel. So, Mike, understanding that tomorrow is going to be a different kind of broadcast for you and the team, it is it's an all-star roster that you've assembled for the Vol Network broadcast crew with Ramon and Jason Swain, obviously, Brent Hubbs, who I know you've worked with in several different capacities across your guys' time together. What kind of picture can you paint for the audience as to what you envisioned when you set out to put your broadcast team together and how all this is going to take place once you guys finally get to do a more conventional broadcast?
Well, I always wanted Hubbs to go to the sidelines because he's the preeminent reporter on this beat. He's been at the Vol Network for 32 years. But he's the preeminent guy on this beat. He knows more inside stories and more background, and more people trust him and talk to him than anybody else. So in that sideline role, he's going to give us something very different than anybody could ever have, or that the Vol Network has ever had in that role. And the other part of it with him, too, is while we're not going to ask him to analyze plays like some people do with their sideline reporters, we will go to him at set times so he can give us background and updates on things along with the news of the game. So that was a given for me. I got to know Jason Swain and really feel good about what he's done so far, what he does in this market, and his understanding of the program, the access that he has to the program, the way the coaches trust him, and, you know, his background as an offensive skill player when you cover a team that has the offense like what this one does. Ramon Foster was a really obvious choice for the Vol Network. And I had said to Glenn Thaxton and Steve Early and Brandon Parks, this is someone we need to look at. And they were already very up on him because they had had a deep discussion trying to get him more involved with their pregame show a couple years back. Instead, he kind of chose to do a little sideline work for a pro team. But in me getting to know him as well as I have, seeing the unbelievable improvement he's made through his broadcast career, the improvement he made with Titans Radio, how he went about his job, and the fact that he was witness to 2 years of Dave McGinnis, how Coach Mack prepares, how he understands the broadcasting mechanics, when to talk, when not to talk, things of that sort. And just the trust factor. And then you add to it who Ramon is, which is an incredibly special guy, the background that he has here, and the overall passion that he has for this entire university. And the athletic director was excited when his name was mentioned. The head football coach was excited when his name was mentioned. The Vol Network people were excited. I mean, it was really a top-to-bottom type thing. And, you know, when Glenn Thaxton told me it had gotten done, I was just elated because I think that group, and he and Jason are already talking, and he knows Brent well. You know, they have a good rapport on the morning shows when Brent's on Fridays. And I hope it's going to be a fun broadcast to listen to that's filled with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of information. That's my goal.
And certainly we know that goal will be achieved. Mike, we're delighted for you. I know you're hearing that from everybody in the world, and you've been doing this job for 3 months, so maybe you're tired of it at this point, but it's so cool to get to see you doing this, and we cannot wait for Saturday, and then, of course, the fall to come and all the things you guys are going to do in between.
Mike,
thanks so much.
Quickly on the way out, like I said, the John Gruden conversation, it was on the episode of the Mike Keith Show that included head baseball coach Tony Vitello as well, so everybody go subscribe to the Tennessee Athletics YouTube page. But I was just glued to it, Mike, because of just how magnetic John Gruden is, talking about anything, it seems like. And truly, I don't think people understood the scope of his ties to Tennessee, just how impactful that year as a GA under Johnny Majors was for him in his coaching career. And the question you asked him about how close he actually was to taking the Tennessee job, asking him if he's familiar with the term groomers. There was a lot of great stuff there. What was the biggest thing you took away from that conversation?
Well, so the first day I ever went out to a Tennessee practice as the sports director of the student radio station, I saw this young blonde-headed guy run around acting crazy, and I asked somebody, I said, who's that? They go, oh, that's John Gruden. He's crazy. And I've shared that story with him. And, you know, I had when John was doing Monday Night Football, he used to come to Friday or Saturday practices, and I would stand with him and talk, and we talked about Tennessee, and I knew the way he felt. It was his first job, and he was there during some glory days with an incredible staff, and I know he loves Tennessee. And what I came out of it with is basically what I thought he would say about the job, and that is, yeah, he really would have liked to have strongly considered it from, you know, his heart and everything with it, but he has the Monday Night Football job. That's a big job at that point. And let's face it, too, he was the highest paid guy in television at that point. And so taking what would have been a massive pay cut to come back to college and coach the college game, probably not quite as appealing when you get down to it. So what your heart says and what your wallet or bank account says can often be two different things. But do I think he was serious about it? Sure, I do. Sure, I think he loves it that much. But do I think it ever got close? That's debatable. Probably not.
He's Mike Keith. You can hear him tomorrow on the Vol Network broadcast of the University of Tennessee spring game, along with the rest of the Vol Network crew. We're looking forward to it. And Mike, thank you so much for taking the time. We know you're busy, bud.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's the main man, Mike Keith, with us on 104.5 The Zone. That the irony is not lost on me on that final line. You know how money and your heart can sort of conflict sometimes as we talk about a potential hold-in for the University of Tennessee quarterback.
Going to be an interesting weekend on Rocky Top.
Oh, bud. I'm going to be. I mean, for our purposes, it's a fascinating story. I know Vols fans aren't treating it that way. They're going through all kinds of different. How many stages of grief are there? Like seven?
Go to break so I can eat this burrito. Stop thinking about my grief.
I'm Buck Rising. He's going to eat a burrito. I'm going to eat his grief. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. He's still choking down that burrito. It's bigger than his head. It may even be bigger than his swollen up, bruised, sprained foot at this point in time. I would like you to just clip him saying, "It's huge," and also his shock and awe at somebody being called the B word.
Let me clutch my pearls.
Welcome back to the show. We're fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. If Hattie B's came up with a hot chicken burrito, I'd be on that thing like white on rice, bud. In fact, I ordered some Hattie B's last night for dinner. It was delightful.
Best hot chicken there is.
Download the mobile app, get Hattie B's delivered to your doorstep, your office for lunch, whatever you please. And if it's your first time, you get a free dessert. Doesn't get much better than that. HattieB.com for more information. So the Nico stuff is going to continue all weekend long, certainly. Do you think that, so let's talk about the calculated decision. Maybe there wasn't that much calculation behind it. But again, when information comes out and decisions are made, you first start with who does it benefit most to have this out in the world? Nico didn't go to practice today. Surprised his teammates and his coaching staff by not doing so. It's the day before the spring game. Do you think, as we talk about decision-making being proactive or reactive, do you think that he realized this would be regarded as the first college football hold-in when he decided to skip practice today, whether he meant to or not? Because, again, consequences and actions or consequences of actions, he's a 20-year-old kid, and yes, he's got people advising him around him, but, like, respectfully to his family situation, they are there to protect their family member. They are there to protect Nico, and his dad's messaging on social media. That's all well and good, but it's not helping. It's not helping him. He needs to have a team of people around him that are going to help him through these situations because it's complicated.
Yes, it is.
Very complicated. So I don't know if, questions that I have. Was it his idea? If it wasn't his idea, whose advice is he taking? And did Nico realize the implications of that advice because he is now being aggregated by NFL people, not just the world of college football, and being regarded as the first NIL hold-in at a major Power 4 conference program anywhere in the world of collegiate athletics.
And he was already the first major reported NIL situation in college football for the most important position in sports. Hell, the NCAA investigation came out of it, which led to a lawsuit, which has played a huge role in this new era that we're in. That lawsuit was the first time, well, not the first time. I guess the Supreme Court was the first time that a judge looked at the NCAA and said, what you're doing here is illegal. But it was just a continuation, right, along that thread of federal judges looking at the NCAA and saying, you can't do this. You can't keep doing this. They can make whatever they want to make. And now we're seeing the absolute extreme of that. I also wonder how much of this is in anticipation of revenue sharing coming to collegiate athletics, with the idea that a big chunk of that will go to football, and understandably, a big chunk of what goes to football will go to the quarterback, especially a quarterback like Nico that, despite thinking he may have underperformed last year, will have a market. So I wonder how much that's a part of this, of people in Nico's ear saying, hey, revenue sharing is about to be a thing, and you're going to be, in their mind, entitled to more money when revenue sharing comes along. Let's just do this now. I don't know. There's a lot to dig out of this situation.
Complex. But smarter people than us will have to figure it out because we just got to do polls. Yeah.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. All right, so we put this out before the show and before all the latest developments of Nico's not going to practice and reportedly wanting over $4 million. We put out the poll. Nico Iamaleava reportedly in contract negotiations with Tennessee. Big deal, little deal, or no deal. 38% said big deal, 34.9% said little deal, and 27% said no deal. I think safe to say at this point, big deal.
Huge.
Who is more likely to keep adding quarterbacks? Giants or Browns? So the Browns, we barely mentioned today with how dominant this Nico headline has been, signed Joe Flacco. They also have Kenny Pickett on the roster. The Giants, as we know, signed both Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Each of those teams is picking in the top 3 of the upcoming NFL draft. So who is more likely to keep adding QBs? 58% say the Browns more likely than the Giants.
Yeah, that probably makes sense. The Brown, it's Flacco and Pickett, right?
Yep.
Russ and Jameis. Russ at this stage of his career. I don't know. They both could do with better quarterback situations.
If the Giants are riding into the season with Russ and Jameis as their quarterbacks, Brian Daboll, the most pre-fired coach in the NFL?
Oh, I don't know. He does seem that way. But you might argue that Brian Callahan is on that list too.
Also, you think that's the QB plan the Browns laid out for Myles Garrett to convince him to stay? With the $40 million a year.
That promising young quarterback we told you about, it's Flacco.
That's right.
We promised you an elite quarterback.
He's elite. This debate has been had many, many times over, but the thing that has gotten most elite about Flacco, he's a very handsome man now that he figured out how to cut his hair properly. Now that he doesn't look like a thumb, he has figured out a proper hair treatment path. So good for Joe Flacco that way. Elite hair.
Do you bring a change of clothes when you go to the gym? 60% say no.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I don't. I go home, I change into my gym clothes.
That's
I
disgusting.
go to the gym
sit
and
in your filth in the car?
I don't get that sweaty. I don't sweat that much.
Then you're not working out properly.
I do sweat that much.
And also, what are you working out right now? You can't even walk properly.
Hey, I was good. I was hobbling around the gym yesterday.
No, you did not go gimping around the gym yesterday.
Strictly upper body, baby. Stick to the machines. Stay away from those free weights.
Of course you bring a change of clothes. You bring your flip-flops. You bring your shower cart. You take a shower.
You shower there?
I don't want to shower at the gym.
Of course I shower there.
I want to shower at home.
My gym is not your guys' gym, all right? I'm not around
that's
people.
Right. He goes to a health club.
No, I go to a health club and I go to a gym.
I go to technically a fitness center, but every time I walk into the showers, it's old men with walkers naked getting into the shower.
That's fine. You should fit right in. And Lucas goes to a place where I assume they're just doing steroids in the bathroom.
Oh, looks like a lot of. I want to walk up to people like you. Everybody knows.
Do you know understand that we can see you?
Those are the polls.
Did we do a good show today? I don't know. I had fun, but I don't know if it was good. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us this week. Stick around. Blaine and Zach coming up next.